NASCAR on Fox is brought to you by Menards.
Fox Deportes, the Big Ten Network, Speed, Fuel TV, FoxSports.com, Fox Soccer, FSN, and Fox Sports, the greatest collection of sports properties in the world.
We are Fox Sports!
Hey y'all, it's racing day, so light out here, I can't hear a thing. Man, the fans are going wild. These drivers came to rock, and no place else but Fox knows how to do it NASCAR style.
Buggity, buggity, buggity! Let's go racing, boys!
Hey now, here we go, race day. Don't you be going slow. Keep that pedal down on the floor. Push it till the crowd can't take no more. Be here since the flag came down. Be here to the last lap around. Worked all week, it's time to play. Gonna get a little bit sideways.
Season full of fantastic finishes, fights, and feuds continues today from America's heartland. It's the NASCAR on Fox pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut as we come to you live from Kansas. And the heated competition has spilled over from the track. Owners getting physical with drivers, and at the center, Richard Childress and Kyle Busch, a couple of guys with explosive personalities. Hi, I'm Chris Myers, and we're glad that you're with us. Late yesterday, 65-year-old car owner Richard Childress was involved with 26-year-old Kyle Busch, the driver, and according to an eyewitness, Busch was put into a headlock and punched several times by Childress. Busch didn't attempt to fight back. Now, there's a history of bad blood between these two. Now, Saturday's truck race here in Kansas at the Speedway, Kyle Busch in the 18 truck bumping Childress driver Joey Coulter in the 22. They were racing hard for fifth, and even in the cool-down laps, they didn't cool down, and that may have triggered things. We talked with NASCAR this morning, and they released a statement after meeting with all parties involved, calling the incident unacceptable and one that will not be tolerated. NASCAR will take disciplinary action against Richard Childress. They did not find any violation of Kyle Busch's current probation, and they made it clear to everybody involved in Richard Childress Racing they do not want this situation to escalate any further. From Kansas, 400 miles, as always, Darrell Waltrip, Jeff Hammond in the crowd with us. And Darrell, what do you make of the situation?
Well, Jeff knows this. Anybody that's been in this sport very long knows that those Childress guys have always been warriors. Even back in the day, they were known as the junkyard dogs. Think of the drivers that Childress has had. He had Dale Sr., for heaven's sake, and Kevin Harvick. These guys like to go out there and mix it up on the track, and they will get in your face if they do something you don't like.
And the thing is, Darrell, don't forget, these guys have had history all the way back to Homestead last year where they got together, and it kind of started a feud then. And just more recently at Darlington, don't forget, Kevin Harvick and Kyle Busch going at it at the end of that race, and Richard Childress sent word and let Kyle Busch know, you touch another piece of my equipment, I'm going to come and I'm going to whip you. Yesterday, it was a matter of principle. Kyle hit that 22 truck, and Richard said, enough's enough. He went down there, and he settled it.
He settled it. Well, he stirred up trouble. What's the punishment going to be? What do you think it should be?
I think it'll be pretty serious. You know, these drivers can get into it on the racetrack. We've seen that. They fined the guys for getting in trouble on pit road there at Darlington a couple of weeks ago. I think when an owner steps over the line, I think they might make an example out of him.
Probably somewhere between $25,000 or $50,000, and he'll probably be put on probation. I mean, NASCAR's not going to put up with it.
All right, Richard Childress respectfully declined to comment on camera, but moments ago, Matt Yoakum caught up with Kyle Busch.
Chris, even after 16 hours, the detail is still a little bit sketchy. Kyle, what exactly happened with the confrontation between yourself and Richard Childress?
Well, as I was leaving my hauler after the truck race yesterday and walking out of the garage area to my motorhome, and an altercation did happen, you know, and I wasn't the aggressor or anything, but you know, it's something that NASCAR's looking into and gathering all the details and working towards trying to come up with a decision. And, you know, I heard what Mr. Helton had to say earlier today, and, you know, I follow through what they're doing and respect what they make a decision based on how they feel the sport needs to be outlined.
When you look at the different meetings that have already taken place, NASCAR's response to you about this incident, what was it, and are you good with it?
Well, from what I heard through what Helton said was that, you know, I didn't do anything to initiate, and so that all I can do is explain my side to those guys and give them all the facts and let them base the rest of their decisions off of what all the other facts they receive are.
All right, thank you, Kyle, for your time. Chris?
All right, thanks, Matt. And he's referring to NASCAR President Mike Helton. Now, this isn't exactly Pedro Martinez of the Red Sox and Don Zimmer of the Yankees going at it, but there is some history in the sport with this kind of activity. Not that it's okay.
Look, folks, this isn't mamby-pamby land. Do you remember 1979? 3 guys wallowing in the mud after the Daytona 500. Junior, Cale, Bud, Haas, Donnie, Bobby, all those guys. They like to get it. This is how they settle things. We settled it first and then went to the truck, not the truck first.
Yeah, I remember 1989, we got into a situation with the crews, and we may even see the crews get into it later on this season, the way things are going, because you never know. It's all about the moment, and sometimes it's about the principle.
We'll be watching Kevin Harvick and the children's cars with Kyle Busch today in our 400-mile race here in Kansas. Kurt Busch is on the pole. Here's what's around the turn as we're just getting going. The first of 2 races at Kansas this year, and Jimmy Johnson, who's 3rd in points, has only 1 win, but 5-time working on 6, will sit with us on the set to talk about maybe that's back here in Kansas. Jamie McMurray on Friday, his birthday. He'll start in the 3rd row today. And you know, Middle America connected by so many communities. Joplin, Missouri, about 150 miles from where we are today. Tornadoes ravaging parts of the country over the last couple of months, but 2 weeks ago for Jamie McMurray, it hit home. Jamie is from Joplin. Thursday, he returned to his roots, to a hometown in pain and recovery.
Like most of us, I had seen the images on TV. I wanted to return home, see the devastation firsthand. I wasn't sure what to expect. Did I really want to see my hometown in ruins? I was speechless. I remember what Joplin used to look like, and it wasn't this. There was literally nothing left.
I've spent too long away from home. Did all the things I could have done.
This is my childhood home, unrecognizable. Here is the living room where we would gather around to watch TV. The kitchen where my mom would cook my favorite food. My old bedroom where I dreamed of someday being a race car driver.
So long, I'm going home.
This is what's left of my high school. Joplin High sat directly in the path of the tornado. The roof of the auditorium was blown completely off. The gym where we shot hoops is gone. My school was reduced to nothing but mangled steel and blown out windows.
They tried to make me welcome there, but their streets did not feel like mine.
But through it all, within the wreckage, I saw countless American flags. I saw the look of determination on the people from Joplin. Determined to move on, determined to rebuild, determined to be Joplin once again. And just then, a spirit of pride overwhelmed me and made me proud to call Joplin my hometown.
Some of the cars here, including Joey Logano's, along with Jamie McMurray's, proudly wearing the name of Joplin, Missouri. And if you want to help those across the country who have been impacted by tornadoes, please go to NASCAR.com/unites.
You know, Chris, you can't say I know how you feel, unless you've been there. I can't imagine losing everything that you own in these terrible storms.
Well, all I know is that you can tell by the way, the look on Jamie's face, and knowing how big a heart he has, it's ultimate devastation, and you could feel it coming through in that interview and what he was going through, walking through what was left of his hometown. And I feel for him. I feel for him and all the folks around the country who've been dealing with these storms all over our great land.
He has a lot of the support from fellow drivers and all of you and those in NASCAR. When we continue here live in Kansas, Jimmy Johnson, 5-time the Dominator, will sit down with us. We'll ask him how comfortable he is in that quest for a 6th straight championship. NASCAR on Fox pre-race show is delivered by Pizza Hut. Don't wait for the last lap. Order now to get your favorite pizzas at low prices.
An epic battle took place last week on NASCAR on Fox. Mayhem raged for over 600 miles. Victory was so close he could taste it when disaster struck.
Junior is slowing out of gas.
Out of thin air, a familiar foe appeared. The closer struck again.
But you can't write the final chapter without including Jimmy Johnson, 5-time the Dominator, working on a 6th straight championship, is with us on the set and recently named Forbes magazine most influential athlete, which is high praise. Thanks for coming on. And how comfortable are you, Jimmy, right now at the 1/3 mark of the season with that 6th straight championship out there in front of you?
Well, I mean, we're still developing some things, and I think we're showing progress week in and week out. And we've got some issues we got to clean up and get right and stop making some mistakes on pit road, even inside the car. I mean, it's a team effort.
So not too comfortable.
No, well, I mean, we're going in the right way. I think we hit bottom a few, month back, few races back, and we have speed in our cars. It's showing, although our qualifying effort today for today's race doesn't show that.
I was going to say, you better find it today.
But it's a long race, and qualifying is just one lap and on and on. So, it's not easy in this garage area. There's no doubt about it. And it's also not a shock or a surprise that HMS is working on some stuff and developing new cars, and it just takes time, and it shows you where how fast things can change. We look at the Roush group and where they have turned around and come to, look at RCR's progress, and then you look at where we've been caught, and we're trying to catch back up a little bit.
Jimmy, what kind of mood is Chad in right now? And the reason I ask you that is because normally we brag on you two guys. You never get in many crosswords, you never disagree with each other, but we've heard some bit of a disagreement on the radio this year between you two guys. Where are you with Chad right now?
No, we've always been very open with one another, and when you're having a bad day, you're having a bad day, and we've had a lot of good days, so it's been easy to be happy on the radio. But the bottom line is, if you're not competing for wins, you're not having fun. And Chad as well as anyone, if he's not in that position, he takes it personally, and he feels bad that we don't have the speed that we want. And I can also promise you that one thing that leads to him kind of being in a bad mood from time to time is there's no one working harder. He is putting in the time and the effort, and so is our entire team to be where we want. So once we're running where we want to and how we should, we'll be smiling again. It's just part of it.
But the thing is, Jimmy, going for 6 in a row, I mean, that's unheard of. I mean, Darrell and I have gone for championships, and I know how hard it is sometimes to keep getting up and putting out that effort, because to win a championship is no small feat. At this point in time, have you got some reserve energy? You gonna be able to kind of cheerlead these guys and get ready to go on that final run?
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, that getting up and going to work's the easy part for me, and it's always been the easy part for Chad. I mean, that is not the problem. It just gets frustrating at times when you put in the time and you put in the effort and you don't get the results. But that's life, and that certainly is motorsports, and that's racing. So we've had 9 great years, and then there's still a lot of time left this year to have a great year as well and fight for a 6th championship. We've won a race. We've been in contention for a few. We're having this deep conversation about the 48's performance, and we're 3rd in points. So it's not that big of a deal. The Cobalt Dual Chevrolet is fast. We just know that we can be better.
It's what happens when you're a 5-time.
I get it. I just had to put that on the record.
High expectation, real high.
No, and we appreciate your class and professionalism throughout, as always. Thanks again, too, for coming by, and a great year so far. Good luck the rest of the way.
Yeah, thank you very much, and I hate to see you guys go. It's been a great start to the season, and I guess we'll still always kind of see some of you.
I'll be around.
I know.
I'm like a bad. I'll be around.
Yeah, he'll always be around as well. We'll be watching the 48 team. Thanks again, Jimmy Johnson.
Thank you, and thanks to Fox for everything.
And our final in the Pizza Hut standings, it'll be decided today. Jeff Hammond, a narrow lead over Daryl and Larry, officially in the race on the trophy in our Pizza Hut competition. It's been fun. You get the Big Cheese Award. We have it right here.
I'll file a protest. It's already got Hammond's name on it.
Don't we? Well, we won't decide it till the end of the day. We know that you two and Larry are in the hunt, and in the tradition of what goes on for the NFL on Fox Show, we know that Mike is officially eliminated. So before we go up to Mike and Larry and get their picks, Mike, we present you with this last place just so that you have something to take home. Larry is presenting you with a Kid Because I Care t-shirt, which you can get at dwstore.com, by the way.
Do you know what most people would give for this award right here?
Nothing.
Nothing.
I said, Mike, they're selling like hotcakes. When's the last time you bought a hotcake? But anyway, we kid. So go ahead, give us your pick anyway.
Well, since I'm not point racing today, I need to take a big swing at this. He had a great race in Charlotte. He was fastest in practice. He's in the top 5 to start. Give me that kid from Connecticut, Joey Logano.
Now, you don't cut yourself short. It was a solid top 5 finish in the points, so don't cut yourself short. All right,
yeah, beat the fans. Thanks
you guys
a lot.
are always looking at Kevin Harvick, and he's Mr. Where Did He Come From? Boys, at the end of the day, I'm going to become Mr. Where Did He Come From? I know my man has had a little episode off the racetrack in the garage area, but Wild Thing is going to speed and fight his way to the win today.
All right,
Kyle
Jeff.
Busch.
I'm telling you right now, you guys just amaze me what you come up with in that booth sometimes. I think it's a little air is a little thin up there. You need to go with somebody who's solid. I'm going with somebody who's real solid right now. Our point leader, number 99, Carl Edwards.
Well, Hammond got on me last week. Said, man, you don't study the numbers enough. Well, I studied the numbers this time, and I'm going with the 16 car Greg Biffle because he owns this joint, and he'll own it today in Hammond. Why did they already put your name on the trophy?
We'll see who
It's
owns
okay. I'll take it if you'll give it to me.
The Big Cheese. You can log on to foxsports.com/Pizza Hut. Vote for the driver you think will win it at next year's Daytona 500, which you'll see on Fox. You can win a trip. Also watch for updates in the race to see who wins the fan favorite Pizza Hut driver. We thank Pizza Hut for their help all year long here on the pre-race show. Well, the 66 car of Michael McDowell is carrying the banner for Victory Junction Hole in the Wall Camp. It's a great cause, and you know Fox Sports has proudly supported Hole in the Wall camps by displaying the pins that we wear every week, and the Hole in the Wall camps do great work in changing the lives of children. And recently, you guys and part of our NASCAR and Fox crew had a chance to visit one of those camps.
The mission of Victory Junction is to enrich the lives of children with serious illnesses by providing life-changing camping experiences that are exciting and empowering at no cost to the children or their families. It has enriched the lives of more than 14,000 children and families since opening in 2004.
As soon as the kids get here, it takes on a heartbeat, it takes on a spirit, and it takes on a life all its own. We're in the Kurt Busch Superdome. Michael Waltrip built the sports arena. Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon. The Hendrick organization has the fuel stop. Right outside the door over there, Dale Jr. built an amphitheater. They help build the camp. What keeps the camp running are the guys that tune in on Sunday and the families that tune in on Sunday and watch us on TV and send a donation. That's a big part of it.
Boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go camping.
Back live here in Kansas. And you'll notice the crowd has moved to their seats. More than 100,000 or around that number expected for the race today. Time for Gas and Go. You're on the clock. And this will go for both of you, Daryl. Last week, should NASCAR have thrown the caution on that final restart?
Definitely not. No one was in harm. Everything was safe. The track was clear. They said they let them go, let them race. Decided on the track. Don't make officials have to decide who's going to win a race.
I agree with him. Let her roll.
All right, Daryl, for you, Kevin Harvick. Remember, he was aided, some teammates saving fuel late before that restart. Should NASCAR change that rule?
Not only was it legal, it was brilliant. I don't know who made that call, but that was a good call because that's exactly what he needed to win that race.
All right, you say leave it as it is.
I'd leave it alone.
All right, if Alex Trebek can have video answers on Jeopardy, we're going to get some help from some drivers who have questions.
Hey, you need a lot of help.
Hey, DW, do you think I should give this horseshoe back to Jimmy?
I wouldn't give it to anybody. I might loan it to a teammate. I might loan it to Paul Menard for that little shove last week to help you win that race. But I would keep that in a secure place, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, Harvick said he'd rather be lucky than good anytime. All right, we have another one for Jeff here. Let's listen.
Hey, Hollywood, who do you really think is going to have the most wins by the end of the year?
You know what, Kyle? I honestly thought it was going to be you, but right now it may wind up being the closer, Kevin Harvick.
All right, speed round. Will Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff, get a win this season?
I think so, and I think it'll be soon.
Okay. For you, Darrell, will Carl Edwards stay with Roush Fenway Ford or sign somewhere else?
Wrap that security blanket around him real tight. He'll stay with Roush.
Ah, all right, Jeff, does Trevor Bayne replace David Reagan at Roush Fenway Ford next year, get a full-time ride?
No. If David Reagan wins, no, he will not. But it may not be Bayne. It may wind up being Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in that car.
All right, and finally for both of you, who wins the Sprint Cup Championship at the end of the year?
I can't go against my man, Jimmy Johnson.
Carl Edwards.
All right, there you go. Thanks for playing. Let's go to Revved Up. Darrell, your final Revved Up for the year.
It's my final one, and you know what I'm revved up about today, folks? I'm revved up about people that get revved up. You know, there's one word that describes this season, and that word is passion. Now, if you don't have it, well, you're probably not going to get it. The dictionary defines passion as a powerful emotion, but I define it better than that. Passion is NASCAR. You just take Richard Childress and Kyle Busch, the fight that they had. That's the latest example. And we're seeing more and more passion. Passion is the source of our finest moments. One person with passion is better than 42 others just riding around. If you say they might be, crazy, I say I don't care. You say they might be PO'd, I say they're passionate. Under the new point system, wins count more than ever, and maybe, just maybe, that explains why we've seen more passion than ever. If you want to succeed in this sport, you better have a good car, a good crew, and most of all, passion.
Hope you're enjoying the NASCAR on Fox pre-race show delivered by Pizza Hut. Opening ceremonies take on special meaning here at Kansas Speedway. Let's head trackside.
As the 28th Infantry Battalion, 4th Brigade Combat Team, 1st Infantry Division presents our nation's colors. Remain standing as Greg Parr from Grace United Community Ministry offers today's invocation. First, join us in a moment of silence for those affected by the devastating weather that hit America's heartland in the past several weeks.
Good morning, buenos dias. We thank you, Lord, for protecting us. Please forgive us when we took those sharp turns away from you. Be with us today, guide us on this road to get close to you as fast as we can. We're at the race and we're also in a race towards you. And as the contestants today, we too are in it to win it.
To honor our troops, please place your hand over your heart as 17 Entertainment Quarterback Records recording artist Matt Gary performs our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the rampart we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Can Dale Earnhardt Jr. close the deal today and get a win? Will Kyle Busch or somebody from Richard Childress Racing mix it up? Stay tuned. 400 miles from Kansas, straight ahead.
It's time to start another season of NASCAR on Fox.
I am revved up.
As we pay tribute to the man in black, Dale Earnhardt.
Happy birthday, Trevor Bayne Kevin Harvick will be in a feud with someone. That's Darlington, our words.
What a night for Kenseth. It's about time. Here comes Carl. Johnson can't get there. Harvick wins it. 2/1000ths of a second. Smith gets the flag.
Wow, Dale Jr. is scooting away.
He's out of fuel.
Well, folks, all good things must come to an end.
Some of the incredible moments from NASCAR on Fox this year and the folks that enjoy bringing it to you. NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing from Kansas City, presented by True Grit on DVD. And the True Grit movie, I have a copy of, available on DVD and Blu-ray this Tuesday. And throughout the race, we're going to take a look back at some of the memorable True Grit moments from this season of NASCAR on Fox. Getting ready for 400 miles, 267 laps of True Grit racing. Let's head down to the track, a crowd of nearly 100,000 on hand to watch.
All right, race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal, NASCAR Hall of Famer and iconic STP driver, Richard Petty.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
Back at the Hollywood Hotel to enjoy the race, our final race of this season for NASCAR on Fox. And let's join Larry, Mike, and Daryl up in the booth. Mike, already a feisty start to this weekend.
Oh, absolutely. Chris, sorry I didn't have time to change into that T-shirt, but thank you. And we're ready to go here for the 11th year racing in America's Great Plains. But today we race into the great unknown because all 10 prior races here have been in the coolness of fall. Today, Daryl, blowtorch-like heat. This will be all different. It'll be all new.
Yeah, you know, the seams seem to be the problem to me. When those cracks in the racetrack are filled up, they fill it up with a hot liquid, and it sets up and it becomes hard. We're here in the hot summertime. That liquid has turned into, pardon my expression, folks, but it's just a little on the snotty side, and these things are sliding all over the place.
Well, Daryl, that's the unpredictable. Mike, you have the known, but the unknown. Let me tell you what the known is. You talked about the heat here. If you could look at our last few races of NASCAR on Fox, the relief was out there. We started in the day, we ended in the night. Today, there's no relief in sight. In fact, the hottest part of this race for the drivers and for this racetrack will be at the end. Everybody will be slipping and sliding. The driver that slips and slides the least amount will be the one down there celebrating in victory lane.
That's right. The 5th driver to qualify yesterday won the pole, and yesterday's high temperature of 96 degrees occurred at 5 p.m. Get ready for a hot one in Kansas.
And it's hey now, here we go. Gonna get a little bit sideways.
Big crowd in Kansas. Dense traffic on the way into the racetrack until just about 15 minutes ago. Everybody rushing to their seats for the wave of the green flag. Just a couple of pace laps away. 90 right now. It's headed for 95 late afternoon. Track temp 128 will probably peak at about 140. There is a moderate breeze from out of the southwest. That will help the folks in the stands a little bit and perhaps those on pit road, but it's bright sunshine all day. This race is brought to you by Budweiser, the beer that starts with full flavor and ends with a crisp, fast finish. Great times are waiting. Perhaps some buds. And here's today's True Grit on DVD starting lineup. Kurt Busch makes it Penske Dodge back-to-back poles, and Juan Montoya third front row start of the season. Kyle Busch's best start of the year. Brian Vickers alongside 2 Toyotas. Joey Logano third last week and up 5 in the points, and Jamie Mack at his home track. Carl Edwards hasn't won here. He's finished second. And Martin Truex 6th at Vegas, his best finish of the year. Paul Menard and last week's winner Kevin Harvick had his best Kansas finish last fall. Regan Smith 10th top 12 start of the season, and Ryan Newman prior winner here. Tony Stewart and Greg Biffle are both 2-time Kansas winners. Denny Hamlin and Jeff Burton. Hamlin up 8 points at 8 positions in the standings. Casey Kane and Mark Martin, the 2005 Kansas winner, and rounding out the top 20, David Reagan, the Charlotte runner-up, and 2000 champion Bobby Labonte. Have a look at the rest of our starting lineup as Darrell dials up our point standing leader.
Let's see if we can get old Carl. Hold on a second. That's Bob talking to him. And Carl Edwards at CW. You got a copy there, my friend?
Beginning the turn 4 side of the 14th box.
Yeah, we got him while he's talking to getting his pit road speed. Let's hang on here 1 second. And Carl, DW, got a copy, buddy?
Let's say that.
We'll get him here in a second. It's taking care of business. And Carl Edwards, it's DW. Got a copy, buddy?
Sir, I got a copy.
Hey, Carl, you have had some big moments already this year. You've won some big races. What would a win today mean?
Man, it would mean a lot. Got fan support here like nowhere else. You know, this is close to home for me. There's a lot going on in Missouri right now. A lot of folks down there in Joplin that are cheering for Jamie right here in front of me, and for Clint and me and all of us guys here at home. And we'd like to do those guys proud. And, man, it would mean a ton. There'd be no race bigger than this one.
Well, I know you said that earlier in the week, and I certainly agree with you what the devastation has taken place in the area. Put on a good show for your fans and friends today, my friend.
All right, thanks a lot. Thanks for everybody's support. And I want to say hi to Tom Duffy, my buddy from Omaha, watching. And hope you guys have a good broadcast and enjoy the air conditioning, DW.
Roger that.
A little sarcasm. Just a little.
Just a little. Carl can do that to you.
That's okay. All right, let's get a last word from downstairs and our NASCAR on Fox All-Star pit crew, beginning with the host of Race Up, Steve Burns.
Thank you, Mike. Surprisingly enough, Kyle Busch has never won a Sprint Cup Series race here at the Kansas Speedway. He may have a little chip on his shoulder after his altercation yesterday. Kyle's crew chief, Dave Rogers, said Kyle Busch can drive anything, anywhere, anytime, and these hot track conditions may play right into his favor. He loves a slick, loose racetrack. Chris Taboda.
Well, Steve, so does Kevin Harvick. 3 wins this year, but in those wins, he has only led 9 laps. When Kevin was asked, is this the week you finally lead a bunch of laps? He says, I doubt it. That's not what we do. What we do is we race and we put ourselves in position. And at the end of that race, if I can sense a win, I go after it. After all, he's not the dominator. He's the closer. The closer has landed in the heartland. Matt Yoakum?
Krista, to beat the field first, you must beat the heat. This morning, Tony Stewart's team added several cooling devices to his race car. They added 2 blowers to direct outside air onto his feet and his body. And they added 2 NASA-type pieces of insulation to the floorboard to help dissipate the heat as much as possible. With it, it's still 300-plus degrees. Today, it's like racing with his Arctic Cat snowmobile suit sitting in a sauna. Keep an eye on the 14 today. Dick Berger?
Well, it's been almost 3 years since NASCAR's most popular driver has won in NASCAR's top division. Almost got one last week in Charlotte, but ran out of gas leading with the checkered flag in sight. The car he's running today, it's fast. Earnhardt likes it. He also likes these hot, slippery racetracks. Stick around. Today could well be the day Junior finally breaks that long losing streak.
You recall that last week we had a thermometer inside Tony Stewart's cockpit. It got so hot the thermometer had a come apart, and it's not available to us today. But we expect cockpit temperatures of 140 plus. 267 laps is the distance. That's 400 miles.
And there you see pit road speed 45 miles per hour. The fuel window for Sunoco race fuel 52 to 56 laps to the rear of David Gilliland for a transmission change.
Kurt Busch has won his 13th pole in what's now the Sprint Cup Series, his 4th on a 1.5 mile racetrack. His prior best qualifying effort here was 7th. And he was the 5th driver to go out in qualifying, Darrell. Usually running faster in practice and going out later is of benefit. That was not the case here yesterday.
Oh, no, that early going out early was as a matter of fact, some guys thought that a few of the drivers may have even sandbagged in practice to get an early draw and get out early.
Juan Montoya alongside 43-car field. 2 drivers went home. We are set to race 400 miles in America's heartland.
Well, I reckon this is the day that we would just have to expect the unexpected. What do you think? And the boys are coming down here, and the flagman is holding them. Be nice. The green flag's in the air. Boogity, boogity, boogity. See you in February, boys.
See, Kurt Busch, our pole sitter in that 22 car, took the outside, but Montoya fights back off two, side by side down the back straightaway.
Montoya had a chance at him entering one. Busch closed the door. But Kurt Busch practiced most of the day in the high groove, and that's where he is, way high, coming off 4.
He's almost into the wall there. We saw him spin off turn 4 in practice on Friday, getting up that high.
Yeah, he was up above the black, which means there's no grip up there at that high up the racetrack.
Lead change. Kyle Busch goes after Montoya on the bottom of turn number 2. Eases up the racetrack, but Montoya has the launch off the corner.
Mike, I had a lot of people ask me this morning, how would all the things that have been going on with Kyle Busch off the racetrack, how would that affect the way he drives? It won't affect him at all. I tell you why. You put that helmet on, you block everything else out of your mind. You're now just a driver.
I think sometimes when you have drivers like Kyle Busch, it almost motivates you a little bit.
Steve Burns, what happened to our pole sitter?
Mike, he didn't even finish a lap, and he said, I am knocking the fence down tight. I don't know where this tightness came from. Steve Addington said 10-4. Kurt said we'll be 43rd before we even pit.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it started off.
And about knocking the fence down, how about Travis Quapple?
Yeah, he's down here in the middle of 1 and 2, and he gets up high, and you can see there's a gray area there that he is in now. There's just no grip there. You see the dust, the dirt, the sand, nothing there.
What do you do, Darrell, when the spotter yells 4 wide, 3 underneath you?
Yeah, well, you take it as high as you can and hope you don't hit that wall.
Yeah, that tight. Kurt Busch is turning the steering wheel, and the front wheels are not responding. They're just sliding up the racetrack.
Larry, I wouldn't panic if I were him. I think being a little snug, once the tire pressures come up, I think he might be better than he thinks he's going to be.
And remember this, the 2 unhappiest drivers last week at Charlotte in the first 100 miles, Kurt Busch and Kevin Harvick, both made out just fine when the race was over.
I think Kurt's almost one of those guys that he starts the race looking for something that's going to go wrong. He's just had that kind of start to this season.
Joey Logano battling for 3rd, and here comes Boyer in 33 on the inside. He won the truck race here yesterday. And up toward the front, 3 under a blanket. Brian Vickers, 83. Kurt Busch, Joey Logano.
But you see right there, Kurt is already coming back. He fell back, and he's going to make a pass here. That car is going to be a lot better than I think he realized when he said that on the radio.
Yeah, quite honestly, making an evaluation before the completion of lap 1, that's a little quick.
I'd have probably said if you get it down in the groove, it might handle a little bit better.
And with them is the point leader, Carl Edwards. In 6th place. There's a gap back to Truex in 7th. Harvick, Stewart, Menard, and Biffle. Jamie Mack on the outside of the 4 of Casey Kane and Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, Jamie McMurray in the 1 started in the 6th position. He's already fallen back to 18th. We anticipated this would be a day of comers and goers the way qualifying unfolded.
5th place on your left. Brian Vickers moving back. Carl Edwards moving up into the 5th spot.
Yeah, qualifying was, you know, there was advantages to going early and there's huge disadvantage to going late. Everybody's on the same page today. Everybody started at the same time.
Jimmy Johnson up 7 spots from 31st to 24th, and Tony Stewart, who started 13th, 7th after passing Martin Truex.
Well, if the theory holds true for Tony Stewart, this ought to be a Tony Stewart runaway day because he likes it when it gets hot and slick.
Kyle Busch under pressure from Montoya. You want to see the 2 most aggressive drivers in NASCAR? You're looking at it.
Now, you remember in practice when Montoya and McMurray were struggling a little bit, but I said I really liked the way Montoya's car looked like it was driving and handling. I think he had a car that was going to be good in the race.
Again, he gets a great launch off turn number 2, Darrell. That seems to be his strong suit. Exit of turn 2 midway down the backstretch. Kyle's not going to make it easy.
But I think what we're seeing here, I mean, you see how wide this groove is. You have 3 or 4 options of where to run the car. I think Kyle Busch's car drove good on the bottom until we got a few laps. And then it's like Montoya's car is prevailing by running that high groove.
It's a lot of times as soon as the tire temps and the pressures build up a little bit, you have to start searching around for a place to run. You have to change your line a little bit. Kyle will figure it out, I'm sure.
6th place on the right, Stewart, Vickers. That battle continues. Some folks call this a cookie cutter track because it's another 1.5 miles, but to me, it looks a lot more like the 2-mile Michigan Speedway with shorter straightaways.
Yeah, I mean, that back straightaway, it's very short. It's only 2,207 feet long. That's a short little straightaway down there. These turns are huge, and the track is so wide. Tri-oval, you can race down on the apron. A lot of room to move around here.
10 laps complete under green. Juan Pablo Montoya, Kyle Busch continue their battle for the lead. Welcome back to NASCAR on Fox. 15 green flag laps in the books. 1 change in the top 5. Carl Edwards up to 4th, moving past Joey Logano and headed toward the leaders. Now Kurt Busch has passed his brother Kyle for 2nd. So it's Montoya, the Busch brothers, Edwards and Logano, the top 5. Let's go back in the field a bit to find Matt Kenseth in 9th. Kenseth started 21st. He's the biggest mover so far, ahead of Marcus Ambrose, Jimmy Johnson, David Gilliland.
But this is definitely a Matt Kenseth type of a race. It looks like we're going to have these long green flag runs. The track's getting slick. I've seen this a lot out of Matt Kenseth in that 17 car.
Larry, just like the way these guys, I mean, here we are 20 laps into the race, and they're already, I mean, they're moving around, and they're trying to, 16 laps in the race, trying to find a spot where the car feels comfortable. Like we heard Kyle Busch say in the opening there. And Steve, what's he say about his car now?
Well, Darrell, he said it's like we're not even using the right front tire. He said that after lap number 6. He hasn't said anything since then.
That's because he's going for the lead. Kurt Busch puts it under Montoya, slides it off 4, and at the line, Kurt takes the lead.
And that's when Steve Eddington said, how bad's your car now?
And that's when Kurt Busch's spotter, Chris Osborne, says, new leader, 22 car.
And the magic words you always love to hear, and you're pulling away.
Mike Skinner's taken his car to the garage, and Scott Riggs was against the wall, but was able to continue with his number 81. So 18 laps under green. The car on the move appears to be Carl Edwards. He is closing on Kyle Busch for 3rd. Also, Matt Kenseth, David Reagan, both moving up.
But you know, sometimes, Mike, Larry, you got a race car you can't really move around in. You might be stuck to the bottom, and that's the only place the car will drive right, or you might have to run the high line. How about the 99, Matt?
And listening to his voice on the radio, DW, you can hear a lot of confidence in Carl Edwards' voice. He says the car is just a little bit free on exit, but it's definitely coming to him. It's a little tight on entry, which he likes, but this is his Brickyard 400, his Daytona 500. DW, you know what it was like when you won at Nashville. That's how Carl Edwards wants to feel winning here at his home racetrack.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Junior Johnson, he was adamant about winning Wilkesboro. I wanted to win Nashville. When they came to my backyard and played, I wanted to be sure they left there knowing whose backyard they were in.
It's not Richard Petty, but it sure looks like it. A.J. Allmendinger on the outside in Petty's 43. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the bottom. Looks a little like Richard and DW back in the day, maybe.
That does the old
Ricky Rudd or
88 car, yeah. Green. Mountain Dew, Gatorade. Mountain Dew mostly.
Now that is for 26th. Both those cars racing just about where they started. Jeff Gordon, Paul Menard. Now this is for 12th place. That means Gordon has now gained 10 positions from where he started.
Honestly, I think Jeff Gordon in the 24 car fell victim to the qualifying yesterday. We saw in practice on Friday, the 2 practices, not only did he say he was happy with his race car, it looked good. Starts back in the 22nd position. Jeff Gordon won the first two races here, 2001, 2002, definitely marching to the front.
Scott Riggs has gone to the garage, and Kurt Busch, the pole sitter, leads here for Roger Penske.
The
Double Deuce is making his move. Don't miss what happens next on NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by True Grit on DVD, is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. By Coca-Cola, open a Coke and enjoy the race. And by True Grit, own it June 7th on Blu-ray and DVD.
Throughout today's race, we'll look back at some of the memorable True Grit moments from this season of NASCAR on Fox, beginning at Daytona with Trevor Bayne's unlikely, improbable win for the storied Wood brothers. A great story, and maybe even a better story, is that once Bayne was taken out of the race car due to what is still an undiagnosed illness, the way he has handled himself going to the track, supporting Matt Kenseth in the Nationwide car, supporting Ricky Stenhouse, driving his car at Charlotte, being a cheerleader for those fellas. And he got back in the seat last night at Chicago, had a top 5 finish, and he returns to the Cup Series later this month. What a great young man.
I've never met a kid that it's never been why me. I mean, you know, it's been I'll get through this. My faith will get me through this. He is a young man with a strong faith, I can tell you that.
He'll always be a Daytona 500 champion, but he is a winner in life.
And I just think the story of who he was driving for winning that Daytona 500 for the famed Wood brothers, that 21 car, I think that just wrapped the whole package together.
Kurt Busch is your leader, 30 laps complete, and the pole sitter's been out front for 13 of them after bitterly complaining about his car in the first couple of laps. Marched his way back up front past Juan Pablo Montoya into the lead. Now Jimmy Johnson has also been marching forward. Matt?
Just cracked the top 20, Mike, but his complaint about that 48 machine pretty much from the drop of the green, the car too loose. Now he said it's snap loose. A lot of conversation with he and Chad Knaus about their game plan until their first stop.
Which quite honestly,
next few laps of this drive, if you're going to man up through it, buddy, you can do it.
There is the march of Jimmy Johnson through the field.
That's the Chad I know. I've heard some Chads on the radio, and I wasn't real sure it was Chad over the last few weeks, but that's the Chad I know. You can do it.
Greg Biffle came in here, not as a prohibitive favorite, but he's a 2-time winner here, as is Tony Stewart. And Biffle very heavily touted in the garage and in social media to have a strong run here today.
You know, with 32 laps in the books, quite honestly, this is where I think these drivers are going to really start to feel what their car is doing on this long of a green flag run. And we'll probably have green flag pit stops start here, I'd say in the next 15 to 18 laps.
You know what our leader right now, Kurt Busch, you know what he proves to me? And I've lived this, so I know. He complained adamantly to this team about this car, about this team, about this situation I'm in. And a lot of people made fun of him and thought he was over the top. But you see what results? You see what's happened? You got to listen to the driver. I mean, a lot of times they whine and complain about little odds and ends. But if the car is that bad, this guy knows how to win races. He knows how to win championships. Listen to him and work on what he's complaining about.
You know, he told us earlier in the week that a big personal goal here at Kansas Speedway, it's one of only 2 tracks he doesn't have a top 5. He said he wants a top 5 finish at every single track on the circuit.
The Biff is coming. He's up to 7th and challenging Logano for 6th. Krista?
And Mike, his numbers here are incredible. Like you were talking about, you know, he finished 36th in his very first Kansas race. That was back in 2002. Has finished no worse than 12th ever since, including those 2 wins. And I talked to Greg Irwin, his crew chief, this morning. Greg said, I will be surprised if we do not have a winning car, at least a top 5 car. Anything less than that will be a disappointment.
Now Tony Stewart challenges Logano.
Mike, you can see those black seams, those lines in the track, and it doesn't bother you too much through the travel here, obviously, but what these guys try to do, they try to straddle those, or they try to get the line where the tires are not on top of them, because you see them here in the turns, that sealer that they put in those cracks, once it gets hot like it is today, the cars try to pull it up out of the crack. and it really makes it difficult when you're on top of one of them. We've seen cars, you'll see off turn 4, black marks where they've actually spun off turn 4 into the infield. Happened several times by hitting one of those seams.
And those are not cracks or a fault in the track. That's just the break between the courses of asphalt when they paved it. This morning, Darrell, I walked across the track in pre-race just to get a sense of those. Put my foot down hard on it. It was like getting gum stuck to your shoe.
Yeah, it is.
Green flag pit stops on the way. We'll get ready as Kurt Busch leads in Kansas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by True Grit on DVD, is sponsored by Budweiser. Great times are waiting. Grab some buds.
Pit stops have begun early. Krista.
That infamous paint scheme. A.J. Allmendinger in the 43 said the car is okay, but not great. I've killed the rear tires, no rear grip. They're going around down on the track bar to tighten them up. Matt?
David Rudiman trying to get some work done on his race car. Significant adjustments across the back with both track bar and wedge. The car just way too loose, especially on entry and exit down in 1 and 2.
Martin Truex in, and Jamie Mack really needed a stop. He had fallen from 5th to 25th. Bobby Labonte's in. Here comes Greg Biffle. Krista.
And Greg Biffle right now talking about his race car, saying he's just a little bit loose off turn 4. That is his biggest issue. Dick?
And Matt Kenseth started today's race in the 21st spot and all the way up to 7th. He and the crew chief have split what they're going to do to the car. Krista.
And as I said, Greg Biffle looking to get the car tightened up a little bit. You see the wrench in the back window making a wedge adjustment. The crew spot on.
Montoya gives up second place to pit. Casey Kane is in. Here comes Carl Edwards, David Gilliland, Kyle Busch, and Kevin Harvick, along with Ryan Newman. Logano also on pit road. Steve.
And while Pablo Montoya early on, his car was loose getting in, a little bit tight in the center and a little bit loose off. Krista.
Steve, Kevin Harvick is tight up off the corner. He said, I need the front end to turn better. The crew going to work on the car. Remember, at this time last week, he said his car was terrible. Not the case today. Steve?
Well, Krista, Kyle Busch saying from the center to the exit and off, it's just too tight. You've got to fix the exit for me.
Jimmy Johnson's in, Clint Boyer. And Kurt Busch has given up the lead to come to pit road. Junior service is complete.
And this is definitely earlier than they needed to come to pit road for fuel. But, Steve, I think once those first few drivers hit pit road, these others had no choice.
And did in fact force their hand. Larry Mack, Kurt Busch saying that his car is tight on apex in the center of the corner. Good on entry, good on exit. A small wedge adjustment. Matt.
And service already complete on Tony Stewart's Chevrolet. Big chassis adjustment, trying to help his race car. He was great on the bottom earlier on, Mike, but it got a little free near the end.
Denny Hamlin, one of the last of the leaders to pit, along with waiting on Landon Castle and Casey Mears.
I've been watching the entry to pit road down here because it's a very difficult pit road to get on. Everybody handled it really well that first time, but here's what you're going to hear from the crew. You got to get on pit road a little quicker, and that's when you're going to get in trouble.
So here's Landon Castle. Had a tough week last week, out of the race early, going through the tri-oval, and a new number on the James Finch car. They've switched from 09 back to Finch's historic number of 51.
And I love the story on Landon Castle. You know, he's driven some NNS races for Hendrick Motorsports. He still does some testing for those guys. But here was a driver that did a start and park the first few races of the year for an underfunded team, and he got the opportunity to do this ride now with James Finch about 5 or 6 races into the year.
Castle has led a lap. Now he comes to pit road along with Patrick Carpentier. So the only car that has not pitted is the number 13 of Casey Mears. We've been green flag all the way, 47 laps so far.
I know this is kind of weird, but numbers make a difference.
Yes, they can.
I don't know why it is,
exactly
but
right.
when you get a number on your car you like, it just seems like it makes a big difference.
Casey Mears finished second here in 2006 to Tony Stewart. Looks like Casey is about ready to hit pit road with this 13 car.
And that will complete the first round of pit stops. Kurt Busch back to the lead. He will have a lead of not quite 1 second on Paulo Montoya. Prior to pit stops, Kurt had a 3-second lead over the 42. In the garage, J.J. Yaley joins Michael McDowell and David Stremme, along with Scott Riggs and Joe Nemechek. Mike Skinner's been in and out of the garage several times. Third place, Ford versus Toyota. Carl Edwards on your left of the screen, and the 18 of Kyle Busch.
Quite honestly, before we got to those green flag pit stops, it appeared to me that Carl Edwards in the 99 car, he was the fastest driver on the track. He was really moving that car around, Darrell. Looks like he'd really moved to the high side right before hitting pit road.
That first time in, you know, you always worry about the driver says I'm loose, and sometimes the team will overreact. They'll tighten you up too much. You got to really know what that driver's talking about when you make adjustments to the car, because you can go from being a contender to a pretender if you go the wrong way on that first time in.
Bobby Labonte in the 47, going to go one lap down, joining Landon Castle, David Gilliland, Dave Blaney, Casey Mears, Andy Lally, and Patrick Carpentier.
You know, even though it was not pretty last week in the Coca-Cola 600 for Kurt Busch in his 22 car, I just think that top 5 finish did so much for their confidence and their momentum. I know we still got a long way to go, but looks like he's on his game right now.
He is pulling away from Juan Pablo Montoya by 1.3 seconds. It is hot here. Even the brakes are hot in Kansas. Wow.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by True Grit on DVD, is sponsored by the new Chevy Silverado HD, Motor Trend's 2011 Truck of the Year. By Burger King, now offering $1 frozen drinks. And by Verizon 4G LTE, built so you can rule the air.
56 laps complete. Kurt Busch in the lead in his Dodge. Second place has closed right up. A Chevy, a Ford, a Toyota. Montoya, Edwards, and Kyle Busch. You see they're quite a distance behind Kurt, but there they are, 2, 3, 4 around the outside of Bobby Labonte.
One of each. Chevrolet, Ford, and a Toyota going at it.
We talked about a lot of drivers that were certainly looking forward to that green flag pit stop. Quite honestly, I think Kyle Busch in that 18, he had really started losing ground in the last 10 laps before that stop.
Yeah, they made the right adjustments on his car.
Matt?
And Mike, on the first one, we told you how Carl Edwards' only complaint, his car was just a little bit tight to the center. Now he's got big problems on exit, entry, and trying to get down to the center. Now he says his car just extremely free, not a lot of grip. They made a chassis adjustment and put a piece of tape on the nose as well.
Working around Travis Kvapil. Montoya holding on to second. Now there's 2, 3, 4. A little further back, Kevin Harvick. Harvick came into the pit 7th. He is now 5th. Krista?
Yeah, and remember how I said this time last week, he said his car was terrible. Now he's complaining about a terrible change. He said taking air out of both tires did not help my car, but that's not the only thing he's upset about.
Just got to figure out how to fix our pit road stuff here. We lost 20 car lengths on our pit stop.
Kevin Harvick obviously frustrated with both the adjustment and the pit stop.
And I think why he feels that way is he pushed it. He pushed it getting on pit road. He pushed it leaving the pits, and he lost time. That's why he's saying they need to work on their pit stop.
So Harvick is 5th, 6 seconds off the lead. Ahead of him, Carl Edwards has passed Montoya in that battle 2, 3, 4, and you don't see Kyle Busch. He slid up the track in turn 2, has drifted back a bit, and not sure we see any damage on his car. He may not have hit the wall, but he came pretty close.
Another thing I heard they did on that last round of pit stops, that 99 car took their secret weapon and put it on his grill. A little more tape.
That'll make that thing turn and help the straightaway speed. But Steve, how about Kyle Busch, who slid back a little bit here recently?
Larry Mack, the reason is he just said it's too loose up top. I killed it. I just killed it on the right side.
He's definitely got against the wall. Yep. When you run the high line, especially on the exit of the corners here, that's the risk you run.
Yeah, there's a little grip up there, but you can see the gray all the way up next to the wall. And if you get over, it's like in dirt racing. If you follow it, you jump that cushion, into the wall you go.
12th place, Denny Hamlin. David Reagan. Denny enjoyed last night's Royals Twins game with us over at Kauffman Stadium. Not a great night for the home team.
That's an interesting combination, isn't it? FedEx, UPS, racing each other.
We're riding with Denny Hamlin. We're here that he's complaining about his car will not turn, that the front wheels will not respond to him turning the steering wheel.
Mark Martin battling Marcus Ambrose. That's at 25th place.
I have bad news for them as well. They're in 25th place, but if they look in their rear view mirror, they're going to see a number 22 car not too far behind. There he comes off the corner right there, chasing those cats down.
Yeah, with the pace he's setting, Darrell, there's a lot of drivers in jeopardy. A.J. Allmendinger, Dale Earnhardt Jr., a lot of them just out in front of our leader, Kurt Busch.
Well, let's go back to last Sunday night. In the first 100 miles of the Coca-Cola 600, Carl Edwards was class of the field. He pulled away from everybody, yarded the field, could do no wrong, but couldn't do much right in the succeeding 500 miles. Now, it got a lot cooler last Sunday night at Charlotte than it's going to get this afternoon. So if your setup's right now, what are the chances you're going to be right when it's over?
I think you're just going to have to keep tuning as we see this battle between teammates. Denny Hamlin in the 11, Joey Logano in the 20. This is a battle for the 11th position.
Matter of fact, Mike, I think if you're good from the get-go here, you're going to be good the whole race. I just don't see this changing a whole lot. Let's do something in the pits to mess it up.
You heard from Jimmy Johnson on our pre-race show. Not too concerned about starting 31st. He has worked his way to the top 10. And at lap 64, Jimmy Johnson moved into 10th. Now, based on your votes today, the Pizza Hut fan favorite is in 8th place, Jeff Gordon. Jeff started 22nd, so that's a gain of 14 so far. Steve?
Mike, Jeff Gordon saying his car is awesome in 3 and 4. He said, if you can help me out in 1 and 2, I'll be a lot better. He's just a little bit too tight in the center of 1 and 2.
Well, and that'd certainly be the challenge for Jeff Gordon and his race team, is making sure they don't help 1 and 2 and then mess 3 and 4 up, which you very easily could do if you're not careful.
Yeah, corner entry to going into 1 is totally different than it is going into 3. And that's kind of the thing you fight here. You get it good on one end, don't want to mess it up on the other.
66 green flag laps so far in the STP 400 at Kansas Speedway. You're watching NASCAR on Fox. At 67 laps, the first caution of the day is out here in Kansas. Debris down in turns 1 and 2 puts us under the yellow flag. Jamie McMurray will get the free pass. And pit road is open this time, and here they come. Krista?
We've been documenting Kevin Harvick's displeasure with the adjustment and the work of his crew. This time he said his car is too tight in the front, loose in the rear. The Budweiser crew is ready to rally and give him a better stop as Kevin Harvick pulls in. They go to work. It was air pressure only on the last one. Matt?
99, if Carl Edwards pulls to a stop, he wants a bottle of water and a bag of ice. Also, a slight air pressure change. He cannot be any more free on exit, Steve, but he needs help through the center.
Matt, Kurt Busch says it feels like the right front has unloaded. He said the rear of the car is freer, taking a little bit of air pressure out of the left front for Kurt Busch in the 22. 4 tires for him, 4 for Juan Pablo as well.
And Busch is going to win the race off pit road from Carl Edwards, from his brother Kyle, and Kevin Harvick.
That position A paid off, Larry.
Yes, it did. Will every single week.
First caution of the day in Kansas.
Live in Kansas, and time for an AT&T race break. And the headlines: Kurt Busch who is looking for his first win this year on the pole and has the lead over Carl Edwards. And no pole sitter has won a race so far this year. And we've heard about his complaints on the Radio Classic. And actually, one of the guys he complained about in the past was recently replaced. And so some of that feedback is paying off early.
It looks like it is. And a lot of people really question whether or not he deserved the pole that he sat on because of the way it turned out. But right now, he's showing that this car and Steve Addington and his crew have made the right adjustments. They've got the right race set up in it. If they can keep him focused, he's definitely a threat to win this race today.
And in case you missed it earlier with Kyle Busch in the running here, NASCAR says it will discipline car owner Richard Childress after he had Kyle Busch in a headlock and delivering some punches there after the truck race and some history there. But he's had distractions. We saw him spinning. Darrell says he can go 3 wide by himself. Last week he had the off-road incident, which he apologized for, the speeding ticket. Where's his head at?
I don't know right now because, like I say, he had 2 problems last week at Charlotte. It eventually took him out of that race. When you look at the last 5 races he's had on a 1.5-mile racetrack, Chris, his best finish was 16th at Texas. The rest of them were all 32nd and 38th. So, I mean, 1.5-mile racetracks have not really been his forte so far.
He has led 7 laps today. Dale Earnhardt Jr. after a good run at the 600 last week in Charlotte. You're a little disappointed about the way his run's going so far.
Well, I'm a little bit surprised. I thought they'd be a little bit stronger after coming out of Charlotte as good as they did, but I'm not going to panic. So far, whenever this 88 car is a little bit off the early part of the race, Steve Letarte and Dale will communicate with each other, and they make the right adjustments, and they get the 88 back up there when it matters the most. So don't panic, Dale Earnhardt Jr. fans. I think he's going to be okay.
And those adjustments involve the pit crew. You can check on the AT&T Fastest Pit Crew Award and season standings. AT&T wants to know what you think. Text the car number today to 234567. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network, getting faster with 4G. And Mike, 4 lead changes in the first 18 laps. The hot, slick racetrack. Keeping an eye on things. Let's rejoin Mike, Darrell, and Larry.
Thanks, Chris. Since that time, it's been all Kurt Busch. 52 laps he has been out front. Everybody stopped, so we'll restart with at least 29 cars on the lead lap. That includes the free pass car, Jamie McMurray, and taking the wave around were Andy Lally, Casey Mears, and Patrick Carpentier. You're looking back through the first few rows for the restart. Kurt Busch, Carl Edwards, with Busch electing the inside of the front row.
I love that. Look at this. Dodge, Ford, Toyota, Chevrolet, first 4 cars.
Lights out on the pace car. We're ready to restart.
Yeah, every driver pitted. Every driver took 4 tires. Not the type of a day and conditions you want to be gambling too much. Not yet, anyhow.
First caution of the day, lap 68 to 72. Here we go. Edwards accelerating. Busch with him. Busch leads him to the line, and we're back under green.
Well, that Carl did a nice job of timing that restart right there with Kurt.
Now, Darrell, did you find it interesting our pole sitter Kurt Busch at the start of the race chose the outside, but on his first restart when he was the leader, he chose the inside?
Yeah, I think the track was dirty on the start of the race there. Now it's got grip down low, and he knows those new tires will stick for a few laps.
Montoya had a great jump at the start of the race. This restart, not so much, as his 42 gets past. The Busch brothers, 1-2.
We know Kyle Busch has been good on short runs, on fresh tires, but have they made that car good enough for him for the long haul? Right now, he's got his hands full of Carl Edwards in that 99, though.
Tell you what, these restarts, double file restarts, just probably the best thing NASCAR's done from excitement. Look at this. You got no out of bounds here. Getting a little dicey, getting a little crowded. I'm going down here, boys. I'm going with you, says A.J. Allmendinger. A little more room on the bottom. Whoa, not much grip, though.
And no banking. A little bit loose there with that 43 car of A.J.
Plenty of room. Hey, we're in the wide open spaces of America's heartland. You got all kinds of room to race here.
You do on this racetrack. That apron is very inviting.
4th place. Tony Stewart inside of Kevin Harvick.
I wouldn't even
looking in is Matt Kenseth.
I wouldn't even call it the apron. That's the low groove.
low groove.
A lot of them use it.
And it's not a, you know, there's such little bit of banking in the trioval that it's not a bad transition from that flat back up onto the racing surface. Doesn't mess the car up much. You saw what it did to Allmendinger a little bit, but that's all it does.
Tony Stewart has climbed to 4th, Matt.
near the end of final practice, Mike, Tony Stewart told me that he felt like they hit on something, but they didn't have enough time to work all the way through the setup, so they rolled the dice a little bit today. You can see the car just hugging the bottom, and that's where he prefers to race if possible. He says the car a little free on entry into 1 and a little free on entry into 3, but decent.
Greg Biffle underneath Montoya. Darrell, to Matt's point, this track is so wide. Is there a big advantage to running right down around the bottom?
Well, I would think so. That's where I would like to be. I'd work on my car trying to get it where I can hook that bottom, shortest way around. I like it down there, but I'm also getting a note from some of our guys saying that Dale Earnhardt Jr. says, boys, the heat is going to be a problem today. It's already getting to me.
Wow. Let's hear what he had to say.
I'll be surprised if this heat don't get me. It's pretty damn hot. Therefore, just get you something cool to drink. If we need, we'll put you in some ice bags or some cool rags or something. At least you get around the neck or something. Cool your core down.
Well, just think about what we said at the top of the show. It's only going to get hotter. It's not going to cool off.
And if you're concerned at 100 of 400 miles, there is a long way to go. 190 laps to go. Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick now. This is for 6th place.
Kevin Harvick restarted in the 4th position. His team had a great pit stop, and now he goes under fire from Jeff Gordon in that 24 car. Jeff started in the 22nd position, battling now for the spot in the 7th.
And Larry, sometimes you just don't know what these teams are doing. You know, maybe he was complaining about the car being a little too tight. We're going to loosen you up and see how you like that. Maybe we went too far. We'll tighten you up next time in. You just don't want to get too far away from your baseline.
Now on the right of your screen, Paul Menard has come up to battle Montoya. Remember a week ago, Menard stepped on a piece of metal on his dock and got 20 stitches in his foot, but he's got the hammer down. How about Montoya, Steve?
Juan's going the opposite way, Mike. He just said his car is really, really tight in the middle on the start, and he said, now I have a big chatter.
At the front, 2nd place at stake. Darrell, if Kyle Busch used up his car with the right side in turn 2, everybody's going to be hitting it to improve it.
I think he helped it. What was it Mike Dillon said that time at the Boyer raked the whole right side down his car?
We wasn't buying it, but he said it'll be faster now. It's narrower.
Narrower, so maybe it made Kyle's car faster because it's narrower.
He's under Edwards as they chase the older Busch brother, Kurt, for the lead. They're going to be 3 wide off the corner.
Whoa!
Almost.
That 18 was hung out. He was down on the bottom, and the back end was stepping out.
Nice try, buddy. Nice save.
Well, all that does is bring Tony Stewart ever closer to the front trio. It's going to be a 4-way battle for the lead here in a minute.
You know, Tony had a good couple of weeks at Charlotte, and I think they learned some things as we're watching this battle now back there with David Reagan in the 6 and Montoya in the 42. This is a battle just outside the top 10, but I honestly believe that we're getting to that time of season. We see it year in and year out that Tony Stewart is going to start coming to life. The tracks are getting slick. The weather's getting hot.
Well, when you look at this racetrack, the guys that are pretty good here, Edwards, Stewart, you know, Gordon, he's up there in 7th. These are guys that have owned this joint, really, and Greg Biffle as well. And they're all in the top 10.
Don't count out Matt Kenseth in 5th place, 1.9 seconds off the lead, Dick.
He started in the 21st spot, Mike, and most of the gains have come from Kenseth himself, passing cars on the racetrack. On the last pit stop, the crew did its work, and they picked up a spot for him as well. Interesting to listen to Kenseth on the radio. His voice always calm, never agitated, never out of sorts, and he negotiates the changes he wants in the car on pit stops with veteran crew chief Jimmy Fennick. Fun to listen to him, fun to watch him.
You know, racetracks are like golf courses. You know, once you play a course, you know where all the hazards are. Now, they might move the pins around a little bit, but you know the greens, you know the breaks, and that's kind of the way racetracks are. They may change conditions a little bit, but you know the hazards of this joint.
Carl Edwards wants the lead, and the hazard was the moving one of Kurt Busch, but Edwards took the low groove to get by on the front straightaway. seals the deal in the backstretch, and our point leader is in first place for the first time today.
I don't think we'll have to worry about the heat getting to our buddy old cousin Carl. He loves the heat.
Old Duck's paddling pretty hard too.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by True Grit on DVD, is delivered by Pizza Hut. Don't wait for the last lap. Order now to get your favorite pizzas at low prices.
With Carl Edwards Ford out front, here's today's Ford F-150. We'll first take a look at the construction of Kansas Speedway. Built from the Heartland 11 years ago, and it is now surrounded as a destination with a minor league ballpark, a world-class soccer stadium, all kinds of shopping, and a casino under construction outside turn 2. Here's your F-150 EcoBoost track facts. This is the 4th of 11 races at 1.5-mile tracks this year. Greg Biffle has the race record at 138 miles an hour, and he entered today's race having led the most laps at Kansas with 323.
Mike, they didn't just build a racetrack here, they built a city.
Yeah.
They just came out here and built a whole city.
Yes, they did. Krista, how about the Biff?
Well, you know, we documented that Greg Biffle is so good at this track, but he has not been having a good day so far. After the first pit stop, he told his spotter, Joel Edmonds, I cannot run the top, bottom, or middle right now. I am having a hard time driving this car. He wanted 2 more rounds of wedge in the stop. That's what they gave him. He said, I am so loose, I cannot drive it. Well, it has helped. He is still loose in and off, but he is able to at least drive and handle the car much better than the first part of his day.
Edwards leading. He started 7th, highest of the Roush Fenway Fords. They are all in the top dozen right now.
Right now, though, Matt Kenseth in that 17, he's got his hands full of old Big Daddy Jeff Gordon in that 24 car. But what a difference a year has made for Roush Fenway with the 3 wins, 2 by Matt Kenseth there in the 17 car. You go back a year ago, they did not win a race in Sprint Cup until almost 2/3 of the way through the season at Pocono in August.
Hey, you talked about Jeff Gordon. You know, how many times this year already have I heard him say he likes his car, likes the way it's driving, but he doesn't get to the victory. He doesn't get the victory circle. That just worries me. I've seen a number of races where I said, oh, he's just hanging around. He's just lurking back there. He'll make a charge at the end. They seem to get the car good, but don't know if they get it good enough to win or not.
Well, he got it good enough to move past Matt Kenseth, as did Kevin Harvick. Kenseth has backed up. There he is in the high groove as Jimmy Johnson comes to the bottom, and now Johnson falls in line. But Kenseth has lost a couple of spots here in the last few laps.
Pretty good. Looking at Jimmy's out his window here and this windshield here, got a lot of wheel in it. You can see there he had to give it a little juke, keep it off the wall. That's not unusual right there. Always turning left down this D-shaped front trove. We can see a little wheels cut a little to the left. He jukes it a little getting in, hits a few bumps. Car's pretty steady right there, not doing a whole lot. Pretty nice up off the corner. This car is looking real comfortable. You can see now he's down that short back straightaway. Just neutral to maybe a little tight getting in, about what you'd like to see. When he picks up the throttle, got to work the front tires a little bit. As you put the power down, you see that in the steering wheel action there. The car looks pretty comfortable.
Pulling up on Travis Quapple, the 38, who we're told has a broken sway bar impeding his progress. Let's check with Matt.
Kansas, Mike, one of those racetracks, very tempting to overdrive the corner. Jimmy Johnson says if he floats the car in, it turns so well through the center, but if he tries to push it, then the car just wants to snap loose. He's tried to adjust the race car, not only with his line, but also by adjusting the brake bias inside the race car, trying to upend the balance a little bit to help his lap times.
And we could see that, Matt, on the steering wheel thing there, that when he was going in the corner, the car looked fairly free. Wasn't doing a whole lot till he got it into the corner. So the steering wheel angle finder is definitely backing up what he's saying. Those little jukes you see on the wheel, that's usually when you hit a bump. You'll get a little action back into the steering wheel. And here's a nice little battle for 6th place.
Kevin Harvick on the bottom, Jeff Gordon up top, Matt Kenseth trying to come back up and battle with them, and then Johnson.
You know, if we look at Jeff Gordon in a 24 car there,
In our 12 races of NASCAR on Fox, I think one of our themes has been win and you're in. Remember, Jeff Gordon got that win at Phoenix, the second race of the year. He's sitting 16th in the points. He knows if he can win another race because of those wild card spots, 11th and 12th place, that'll be with drivers with the most wins that's outside the top 10, but in the top 20, that he can possibly go ahead and lock himself into this chase in 2011.
It has added a whole different dynamic to racing this season. It has practically eliminated any talk of point racing. And you're concerned about the top 10, you're more concerned about the top 20, but your first concern is getting a win.
Those two wild cards, when they came out with the point system, announced they were going to change it, everybody just looked at, oh, well, this is going to just make it simpler. That's what we heard the most. Everybody overlooked the wild cards. And it was really because of Jamie McMurray that I think they did that. So if you do win, you can get in, and that's really changed this whole thing.
At this point in the season, Jeff Gordon is the only driver in point positions 11 through 20 who has a win. Yesterday in the Truck Series, Clint Boyer went to victory lane, said it was one of the sweetest wins he'd ever have. He's a two-time champion on the dirt at Lakeside Speedway in Kansas, not far from here. And when he was winning there, never dreamt that he'd be on racing's biggest stage and winning here.
Well, he said, you showed the shots of this track being built, that he drove by here. He never even dreamed about racing at Kansas Speedway, and here now he's a four-time winner in Sprint Cup and normally a chase contender every year.
Going to have to pick it up a little bit if he's going to live that dream out today.
Another driver for whom this is the home course, Carl Edwards, is out front by 1.6 seconds.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by True Grit on DVD, is sponsored by Lowe's. Choose 5% off every day when you use your Lowe's consumer credit card. By the all-new Focus from Ford. Drive one. And by AT&T. Rethink possible.
Carl Edwards still leads by 1.8 seconds over Kurt Busch. Saw Joey Chitwood down in the media center earlier, reminding us that the Daytona 500 has a new date. For the first time in its history, it'll be run at the tail end of President's Week, Sunday, February 26th. Tickets are on sale now for the Great American Race. Go to Daytona500.com for details, and we'll see you there.
We know Trevor Bayne won that Daytona 500 back in February, but we're riding with a young man that was just that close to maybe getting his first Cup win in the Daytona 500. David Reagan, that last restart really messed him up.
But Larry, they came in and got 4 tires and fuel, and I watched them. They started like 10th or 11th back in the pack. You know, I said, well, they're not going to make much progress. Son of a gun if he didn't finish second.
Carl Edwards is our leader. He's holding at about 1.7 seconds over Kurt Busch, but is all right with the 99, Matt.
Mike, for the second run today, Carl has reported to Bob Osborne a slight vibration on the 99. He said he's going to baby it till their next pit stop. We are closing in on that next pit stop window.
Every time I hear that out of Carl, it's been a left rear. A couple of times he's had to stop for left rear issues.
Kyle Busch, Tony Stewart, who's been looking on the bottom for third place. Not this time.
Yeah, Kyle Busch in the 18 was just able to keep it wound up from the center off. Now this is a battle for 8th between Matt Kenseth in the 17 and 05 time Jimmy Johnson in that 48.
After starting as far back in the field as he did, 48 has done a nice job of getting to the front, getting in the top 10.
And Kenseth too has come from 21st. Dick?
But the car has gone loose on Matt Kenseth. They'll fix it on the next pit stop, Mike.
Yeah, we talk about Jimmy Johnson starting back in 31st. In fact, we got 4 drivers running 7th through 10th that started outside the top 20 with only the aid of 1 caution in these first 109 laps.
And again, I think we all knew that based on the way qualifying went down, that was a good chance that could happen.
Stewart keeps trying different lines on Kyle Busch. How about the third place car, Steve?
Here's the update, Mike. He says it's snug in the center of 3 and 4. Really good down in turn 2. He said, I need to pick up the throttle sooner. I like how it is right now, but I wish I was out front to feel how the car feels with clean air.
Well, in the next 5 laps, I think we're going to be seeing drivers hit pit road, and they all will be hitting it because there's a caution.
Debris in turn 4 puts us under caution for the second time today at lap 111.
I'd like to know how it feels when I'm out, if I were out in front. There's nobody, I never quite understand that. There's nobody around him. Oh, there's someone got rid of one of their water bottles, yeah. But there's no one around you. I mean, what would be the difference if you're running first or 31st if there's no one around you? I never quite understand that thinking.
Maybe it's just wishing you were out front.
Oh, well, that part is only good, the good side.
That's always better. All right, at the time of the caution, we had 28 cars on the lead lap. And Landon Castle will get the free pass. He's the first car 1 lap down. What's going to happen on these pit stops, Dick?
Well, that's what Matt Kenseth and his crew chief Jimmy Fennig are trying to decide, Mike, right now. He said, Kenseth said that the nose is bouncing off the racetrack. It's making the back end of the car loose. They really don't know how to fix it. Krista.
The problem for Kevin Harvick is that he's so tight the first 7 to 8 laps of the run, then gets loose. Steve.
Krista, Kurt Busch in the 22 saying it's still tight in the middle, rolling through the apex. They're going to make some air pressure adjustments, Matt.
Carl Edwards said his car was really good on both ends of the racetrack. In the center, he needs a little help on exit. The car was a tick free on the short run.
All right, reach for that volume control as pit road is open at lap 112. We'll give you a little NASCAR on Fox. Pit road, crank it up. Busch came in second. Up he goes, +2. Denny Hamlin, nice gain there, and Kurt Busch drops 6 spots.
Trouble on left side. I'm not sure what it was, but some trouble on left side.
We're under caution for the second time today in Kansas.
Go, 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 go. Get out there, buddy. Get out there. Block him if you got to. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, sir, boys. Great job, man. Thank you.
That was Kyle Busch getting out first. Now let's show you what happened to his older brother Kurt, who lost 4 spots on that stop. Watch the gas man, Chris Williams, because he becomes a busy guy on this stop. He's got to get that first can of gas in, but watch right here. He's trying to put that wrench in with a little bit of a bungee, and that causes him to be a little slow with the first can. By the time he gets back with the second can, the tire changers are almost done.
Because we had run long enough that it almost took both of those cans of Sunoco fuel because we about went the full distance.
Jackman, I'd have dropped that jack, I think. Make him go, let him go.
There's the difference right there. 4 seconds difference in the pit stop alone.
Pace car is in. Kyle Busch, Carl Edwards at the front of the pack. There was an irregularity with the right rear tire on Carl's car. That may have been the vibration he was feeling. He's got a new set of Goodyears on now, and we are back under green, starting lap 116.
I believe this is the defining moment for that 22 car. If he can keep his composure and get back up there. We know he has a fast car. He just doesn't want that pit stop to take him out of this race.
Stewart Edwards side by side for third. Harvick in the 29 with them. Matt?
Mike, also an irregularity on the left front of Carl Edwards' car as well. 2 sections where there was about 1 inch of rubber just gouged out on the shoulder. So interesting wear patterns on the 99.
For the lead, Kyle Busch gets passed by his Joe Gibbs Toyota teammate Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin started back in the 15th position. Denny Hamlin's crew gave him a pretty good pit stop that picked up some spots a while ago on that caution.
I think he's still got that carburetor on there from last week. There, I think he's got some giddy up.
Hamlin entered the pits in that caution in 5th, came out 3rd. and has come to the lead, and here comes Tony Stewart for second.
Yeah, you could see in 3 and 4 how much better Tony Stewart was through the middle of the corner than Kyle Busch in the 18. You can see it right there again. It's like he's picking the throttle up, and he's able to stay in it longer than Kyle Busch.
Car's been kind of hot and cold these first few races this year. Started the year off great.
So good side-by-side racing there. Here's Jeff Gordon on the inside trying to make something happen against Edwards. Montoya, Logano. Oh, somebody bounced off the wall. It was Landon Castle toward the back of the pack, and he hit it hard.
Yes, he did. Got a lot of right side damage. You can see there. He's in it again.
Caution's out.
Yeah, he couldn't turn the car. The right front tire is down. He hit it again going down into 1.
Get past the start and finish line.
Lap 119. Landon Castle at turn 4. Wow.
A lot of damage.
And Marcus Ambrose was involved back there.
Like he got a little damage on the left front. Those two must have made contact. I'd say 51 may have slipped right up in front of the 9. Not quite clear.
Yeah, there's where Ambrose in the 9 got the damage, and boy, it just turned the 51 of Castle right into the wall.
Right front first, you can see it all tucked in there, and that's why he couldn't turn the car, and he goes right back into the wall. That was a lot of hard contact.
You'll see the car just go dead straight there.
Smash the protective lens on our camera. And a lot dragging on the bottom underneath. Landon Castle's Chevrolet, our Fox Exmo. But they'll try to get him back out there.
I have to do more and change the tires. I can tell him that.
We had only run 5 laps since they were last on pit road. I think with this many drivers on the lead lap, we'll see guys at the back like maybe Newman, Vickers, McMurray come to pit road, but I think our guys at the front will definitely stay out.
There are only 2 cars 1 lap down, Bobby Labonte and David Gilliland. Labonte receives the free pass and will be back on the lead lap for the restart. Most of the lead lap cars stay out. Everybody so far as Denny Hamlin leads in Kansas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by True Grit on DVD, is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series.
While we're under caution, let's take an inside look at what's happening now in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, brought to you by Sprint and HTC Evo 4G. Kyle Busch has the fastest lap of the race, set back on lap number 2. And most laps led today, that would be his older brother Kurt. 64 laps, the most since the last race that he won back at Charlotte. Now, we've talked about one of the fueling issues on Kurt Busch's car, multitasking. Steve Burns has more.
Yeah, Mike, you guys showed the gas man, Chris Williams, trying to make a wedge adjustment and get a second can of gas in as we watched the replay. But we found out one of the big issues, something we've been following all year on NASCAR on Fox, is they are having trouble with the fueling system itself. There you see Chris Williams engage the gas can. There is some kind of an impediment for them to get the car full, and it is not full as Kurt Busch is back out on the racetrack.
And keep in mind, it's 95 degrees down there, and those fellows are wearing triple layer fire suits and a helmet while they try to do their job over the wall.
It's shocking, though, that it's not full, because, I mean, as long as they stayed hooked up, you would have thought they'd got the fuel. And I saw bubbles coming up, but guess not.
He ought to probably force him to start short pitting, which I think we saw a lot of drivers short pit the first set of green flag.
I don't think that's a bad thing. Do you, Larry?
Denny Hamlin's Toyota leading. Most of the leaders did not stop. Everybody back through 21st place stayed out on the racetrack. Sponsifier's back for 2011. This year the winning designer gets a personal visit from their favorite driver. So go online for all new ways to create, customize, and share your designs.
You know, so much focus was put, and rightly so, at the end of that race last week at Charlotte with Dale Earnhardt Jr. running out of fuel coming to the checkered flag. Denny Hamlin in this 11 was running second and ran out of fuel at almost the same time. Talked to Mike Ford, his crew chief, said they were very encouraged, though, by how well they ran the entire weekend at Charlotte.
A lot of our NASCAR on Fox folks had a great time last night at the ballpark watching the Royals play. We love baseball on Fox.
Next week on Fox Saturday Baseball. It's gone. The Fightin' Phils host the Cubs.
And there's a drive hit deep to right field.
The Reds head to the Bay Area.
Makes the catch. Is another one for the highlight reel.
Josh Hamilton's Rangers take on the Twins.
How about that?
All the best games come at you next week on Fox Saturday Baseball.
Next week, beginning 4 o'clock Eastern. You'll see a lot of Royals colors here at the Kansas Speedway. I was amazed last night how many folks drove down from Minnesota in their Twins gear to watch the game and watch the Twins win.
They wanted to warm up a little bit.
Let's hear from the 15th place driver, Dale Earnhardt Jr., about his pit stops.
Hey, man. Steve. Yo. Car ain't too bad, buddy. Yeah, man, we're getting there now. We're getting there. Not even halfway yet. We're getting there pretty good, so should be fun. Yeah. Very good car.
And you know, that kind of follows up on what Hammond, I think, said earlier. They almost went a lap down off that first caution, caught back up. Steve made some great adjustments, and here they are. They're creeping toward the front.
Dick Berggren. Dick.
Today's race. And Junior was pretty much stuck in traffic. It's been very difficult to pass cars here. This is a tough racetrack. It's very slick out there. But as in the last practice on Friday afternoon, when Junior was thrilled with his car, you just heard, he's very pleased with the car this afternoon as well. He's got a shot to pick some more off and enough time to get up to the front and maybe win this thing.
Thanks, Dick. We're closing in on halfway here in Kansas. Here's a True Grit race summary. Denny Hamlin is the 7th different driver to lead this race. 10 lead changes among the 29 cars on the lead lap. This is our 3rd caution for a total of 14 laps.
I want to give a shout out to Bill Allman. He's a longtime former Junior Johnson employee. He died this past week. I want to say prayers and thoughts with his family. Bill built the greatest cylinder heads in the world. When I drove for Junior, and he passed this past week. So just thoughts and prayers with the family.
Thanks, Darrell, and a hello from all of us at Fox to Marvin Cale, one of our field technical managers for NASCAR on Fox. Came here to Kansas and was transported early in the weekend to a local hospital, is resting, and hopefully is watching the race today. Marv, we miss you. They are still picking up debris in different areas of the racetrack. So we'll take a break. Denny Hamlin in the lead under caution. Denny Hamlin is the 7th different leader of this race. The first 20 cars did not pit under this caution, so their fuel load and tires have 8 more laps on them than the rest of the cars on the lead lap as we get set to go back to green after 126 laps. Green flag. Hamlin, his teammate Kyle Busch trying to help him along to turn 1.
Looked like a little Daytona Talladega pushing going on there between the two teammates.
And here comes Stewart on the outside to 2nd.
Yeah, it's like Tony tried to pick that throttle up quick, almost too quick, and had to roll back out.
I think he had to roll out of it because he was carrying a little too much speed.
Kurt Busch trying to move back up with Jimmy Johnson back there. From 6th on back, they're too wide. Hamlin, Stewart, Busch, Gordon, Harvick, and Kurt Busch. Single file now with Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, and David Reagan, the top 10.
It's just a little dicey back in here with these cars on these restarts.
Oh, here comes Johnson, and a car in the wall, turn 3.
Is that
Montoya?
I think it's Montoya. Got in there just a little on the high side and couldn't get it back down. Got in the wall, getting into 3. Got in there good, too.
I wish you'd look at all these drivers that are running the apron through the front stretch here. We had 4 or 5 of them down there.
Closer to the front, here is Kurt Busch battling the 29 of Harvick. This is for 5th place, and here comes 5-time Jimmy Johnson. Right in front of him, Kurt Busch. Steve?
Mike, I just want to follow up on Kurt Busch. I talked to Trent Cherry, the pit crew coach at Penske. He says he thinks that they have the car full, but he did confirm they are having a problem fueling that 22.
Yeah, I support that, Steve, that it definitely looked like it was full before they let him go on that last pit stop.
Yeah, we saw the fuel bubbling up in the tube there, so pretty sure if it's not full, it's practically full.
Clint Boyer, our American Ethanol onboard camera, battling Greg Biffle side by side for 13th. And here's what happened. Watch the 42 left side of your screen.
You know what it looked like? He got on one of those seams getting into turn 3, and it just wouldn't come down, and he got into the wall getting into 3 over there.
Look how much momentum he lost there. And positions.
Yeah, he's fallen all the way back to 28th position, Montoya, who started this race on the outside of the front row.
What are they saying, Steve?
Well, you can see Juan Pablo wiggling, Mike. He thinks he has a flat right rear tire, flat right rear.
Well, I'm sure they want to make sure, because when you get up where he was at, Steve, you sometimes pick up debris on your tires, and it'll make you think you've got a flat tire. They want to make sure.
I can confirm that he has a flat right side.
Yes. David Reagan battling his Roush Fenway Ford teammate Carl Edwards. They are side by side for 8th. And here comes Brad Keslowski in the deuce, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Matt Kenseth.
But this has been classic Dale Earnhardt Jr. all year long, and this is what he was missing as he falls to under the gun of Matt Kenseth in the 17. This is what he's been missing for the last few years, is making the car better as you get into the race.
Here's a guy, you know, I was really interested to see how Kurt Busch was going to handle those issues in the pit. If that was going to be the blow up that, you know, he'd lose his focus. He hasn't. He is fighting back, and he's got a great race car today, Larry.
It just can't give up that many spots on pit road that many times, more times for sure.
He emphasized in his post-pole winning press conference, we win as a team, we lose as a team, we are all together on this.
No, you know, talking to his guys, they all support him. I think that maybe they're all feeling the same frustration he was. He's just the spokesman for the group.
Johnson 5th, Busch 6th. And teammates have been racing each other pretty hard here.
But look at David Reagan in that 6th car. And Darrell, I know he was a part of y'all's gas and go questions in the pre-race. And I just don't see, I know there may be some sponsorship situation for 2012. I could not imagine with Jack Roush paying the price with this young man as long as he has. Now he's starting to see the fruits of the labor with this young man.
He's got too much invested. Can't turn back now.
And I totally feel like he's knocking on the door of that first career Sprint Cup Series win.
Tony Stewart tracking Denny Hamlin off turn number 4. And Stewart's been right there. He's in no rush to lead, it appears. Stewart has won more races in June, July, and August than in all the other months of the season combined.
Pretty interesting paint job. Yeah. That, what is that, a big peach on the hood?
It's an orange.
Orange, big orange.
With a big bullet hole in it.
Well, he ought to be from Tennessee then. Big orange.
The Glades is the TV show he's promoting on the hood of his car.
Actually, Tony made a cameo appearance. Said it's the first acting he's ever done outside of commercials.
Matt?
Many of the crew members from that show are down here in his pit watching Stewart, hoping to see him go to victory lane. As you mentioned, Mike, 21 of 39 wins through those months where they're hot and slick, and that's what Stewart likes. Right now, his car on the free side. He told Darian Grubb, if you could just tighten me up enough, I can do the rest. Back on lap 5 at the beginning, he said, boys, we have a car that we can do something with today. And so far, he's showing it.
Next Wednesday in Rossburg, Ohio, Tony Stewart's Eldora Speedway will have their great charity race, Prelude to the Dream. They raise a lot of money for great causes, and a lot of your favorite Sprint Cup drivers participate.
Actually, it's just jaw-dropping to watch our guys race on dirt.
Denny Hamlin, the leader by 2 car lengths over Tony Stewart.
Can anything slow down Denny Hamlin? Find out only on NASCAR on Fox.
Side by side for the lead. Just past halfway in Kansas, Tony Stewart takes it to Denny Hamlin and puts the 14 out front for the first time this afternoon.
Tony sailed that thing off into one. I mean, he was on the gas.
We've had 10 races at Kansas, and in 5 of those 10 years, the winner did not lead the race until after halfway.
Tony has won this race twice, 2 completely different scenarios, by having a great race car on one race and fuel mileage on the other.
Behind Stewart and Hamlin, just 1 second back. There is your Pizza Hut fan favorite today by your vote, Jeff Gordon. Is Hendrick Chevrolet pretty much holding even with the 2 leaders, and they have a big gap on 4th place Jimmy Johnson.
I like Jeff Gordon. I really like where he is. I just keep those words keep ringing in my ears from practice. I like my car.
Right. There you see it's 3 seconds behind Gordon to Jimmy Johnson, Kyle, and Kurt Busch.
And we're about 15 laps away from green flag pit stops, and we've seen this entire race with Kyle Busch in the 18. At the end of a long run, he starts to fade. Looks like his brother, the 22 car, pole sitter Kurt Busch, is starting to come to life a little bit here.
Well, Larry, on this next round of pit stops, you're getting to that point where somebody's going to take 2 tires. And we're going to say, you can't do that. No way is that going to work. And they're going to make me and you say, well, maybe it will.
Right now, though, with 120-something to go, 4 tires, especially under green.
Well, most of our top 20 drivers, 14 of them, in fact, have been improving their cars and running faster laps as the afternoon has worn on. But Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Carl Edwards, along with Biffle, Logano, and Truex, ran their fastest lap of the day right at the beginning of the race, and their cars have not gotten quicker as the day has worn on. Krista.
Mike, remember how I said Kevin deals with tight for about the first 7 to 8 laps of a run, then it goes loose. So he told Gil Martin, his crew chief, on the last stop, tighten me up, I'll figure out what to do at the beginning. But then on lap 134, he said, it's not coming around, it's staying tight, it's supposed to get loose. 2 laps later, he said, wait, Gil, here it comes.
Just keep him updated on what it's doing. That's about all you can do.
Don't you love it when a plan comes together?
That's when the crew chief always says, just be patient. It'll come to you.
Carl Edwards now back in 9th place, Matt.
What a difference from last fall, Mike. He qualified 31st, and as Bob Osborne told me, he turned in a blue-collar type performance and worked his way up to 6th. Different this weekend, the car fast out of the box. Right now, though, still the same concern. The car way too free on exit, no grip. That's his biggest hindrance.
Thanks, Matt. 10th is our Charlotte pole sitter, Brad Keslowski.
Yeah, he started back in the 25th position. I don't think they were that good at the drop of the green flag, but I think these 2 or 3 pit stops, Brad Keselowski and his crew, now they've cracked the top 10.
I believe this group here is what's helped the 22 car more than anything else. He now has a teammate and another team that can help him get some good information.
For 20 of the lead lap cars, green flag pit stops are coming. You're watching the STP 400.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by True Grit on DVD, is sponsored by Toyota. By AT&T, rethink possible. And by True Grit, own it June 7th on Blu-ray and DVD. Hope you're enjoying NASCAR on Fox. We are live in Kansas and a caution out as we have time for the AT&T race break. Dale Earnhardt Jr. with problems.
Yeah, looks like he has lost it, came spinning around, but I mean, fortunately for him, it looks like he's not damaged the 88, so hopefully he's not going to have a problem tearing the tire up. Looks like all 4 tires are up, so he should be able to come to pit road, get 4 brand new Goodyears, and go ahead. Let's take a look at what happened here.
He's been working his way up through the field.
Yeah, he's been, getting the car better and better all day long. You see up here on the high side, the car just breaks loose away from him right there. Daryl's talked about those seams. He hits that seam the wrong way, that high up. All of a sudden, the car steps out and around it goes. And he made a great save as far as keeping the car, basically on track and not getting in the safer barrier.
So we ride along with Dale Earnhardt Jr., who brings out the 4th caution. And after a good run, disappointing finish last week, lost about 4 or 5 spots here, and trying to end that winless streak of 105 races.
And Chris, what I can hear from the onboard right there is he got ready to get back in the gas. All of a sudden, the car started getting a little bit loose as he went to the gas. It just kept coming around on him. Again, he did a great job of saving it, but now here it comes back to the fact guys getting ready to make pit stops. We've seen a lot of guys have problems on pit road, and track position seems to be so important as we get ready to open the pits.
Yeah, we were coming up with Tony Stewart, your leader here, and he has 6 wins in the month of June. We were worried about green flag pit stops, but this may change things a little bit, obviously, with the 4th caution out.
Well, it may help him, but we're taking a look right here. Denny Hamlin, to me, he has the best opportunity of beating these guys off pit road. His crew has performed flawlessly. They won the pit crew competition at Charlotte recently. They've been solid on pit road, and remember, the 48 cars had trouble.
Let's check in the pits. Here's Krista.
Thanks, Chris. Mentioned that the car was finally starting to come to Kevin Harvick. He said, Gil, I need to go back on that gist of it. Need to be a touch more free, so they're going to make a half round, take a half round out of the left rear wedge. Kevin also asking for that all-important bottle of water. It is definitely getting hot out here. Matt?
Leader Tony Stewart says the car tiny bit free on entry, but the balance is consistent through the corner. 2 different gas men here. Gooch Patterson's going to go over the wall. That means no chassis adjustments, just air pressure. Steve.
Well, Matt, Denny Hamlin saying he needs to turn better in the center of 3 and 4. He's a little loose on late exit. Jeff Gordon, the 24, says, I need more grip, more confidence and stability in my race car. Krista.
Jeff Burton, Joey Logano also making changes for Jeff Burton. It was track bar. Joey Logano pretty happy with his car. No adjustments for Greg Biffle.
And Chris, we watched the race off of pit road. Look what I was talking about, the 11 car Denny Hamlin. Great stop by that crew right there. They get him out. He picks up 1. The 22 responds. They don't have a fuel problem this time. He picked Kurt Busch back up. So, great fight. I mean, great battle off of pit road by a lot of these teams.
Greg Biffle, a 2-time winner here, moving up as well. A look at the current standings. Get in on the action by texting the car number that you think will average the least amount of time on pit road. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network, getting faster with 4G. We're getting faster here in Kansas with Denny Hamlin, Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon among the leaders, and the caution brought out by Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Kansas City is home to Sprint. It's a beautiful, vibrant city to visit as Sprint and HTC Evo 4G. Let you know that Kurt Busch has led the most laps today, 64. And the biggest mover is Jimmy Johnson in the number 48. Chevrolet up 20 positions from where he started. Fuel your inner NASCAR fan with live in-car audio from the new HTC Evo 4G. Only from Sprint at sprint.com/speed. If you come here, visit Union Station and Pershing Square. Just beautiful downtown Kansas City. We're getting ready to go green. Hamlin and Stewart on the front row. Kurt and Kyle Busch, Gordon and Harvick, Edwards and Biffle. The free pass car was David Gilliland. Andy Lally took the wave around, and so did Patrick Carpentier. A steamy day in Kansas. We're back under green. Whoa, and down to the bottom. Busch wants Denny Hamlin, and so does Stewart.
That's going to get a little dicey right there. Yeah, they made it, but I tell you, Kurt Busch was all over the back of Denny Hamlin.
Greg Biffle kicked up a lot of dust coming off turn number 2 there. I don't think he hit the wall, but he was close. Fourth place battle.
Yeah, Jeff Gordon in that 24 car, he got a great run off turn 2 the last time. Gets to the inside of Kyle Busch in the 18. He wants that 4th spot with Carl Edwards in the 99 trying to follow.
Tight pack behind them.
Yeah, Junior right up the middle of it. And I think, you know what happened to him? I think he hit one of those seams down there when he spun that thing out.
From his car, looking at Jamie Mack and Brian Vickers. Dick?
Well, Junior apologized to his crew about that spin. The crew chief, Steve Letarte, told him not to worry. They've got plenty of time to make it up. And he just said that he was so disappointed because it's so hard to pass and so sad to have given up all that track position.
Hamlin, Busch, Stewart. Now let's show you the restart as Busch goes looking, but Hamlin protects the bottom. Have another look at the restart and watch Kurt Busch in the 22.
Yeah, if he doesn't look at him, he's got that 11 car turning to the right.
Oh, no wonder he was able to get up alongside.
No kidding.
And Hamlin just did slide up in front of Tony Stewart in the 14. And look at this battle we got. Stewart gets at the back of Hamlin there in the middle of 1 and 2. And Gordon's going to take advantage of it in the 24.
Hamlin lost all his momentum from the contact with Stewart. And Gordon was right there to pounce.
That was a nice save by Denny Hamlin because that could have very easily turned him right around.
But we've seen Tony Stewart get to the gas so much quicker than almost any other driver today, and that time gets in the back of Denny Hamlin.
I think he might have should have gotten to the brake a little bit quicker that time.
Coach Joe Gibbs. From the in-car radio traffic over the last 40 laps or so, don't believe that Hamlin and Stewart are too happy with each other.
Caution's out.
And caution's out.
Debris on the back up against
Debris
the wall.
in turn number 3. As you heard it, let's look at this replay. Stewart looks, nothing there. Boom.
You know, I'm not so sure. In Tony's defense, he got down on the apron just a little bit, and his car got a little bit loose. I believe that's what shot him into the back of the 11.
At the same time that Hamlin didn't get well into the corner, lost some of his forward motion, and carried Stewart right to him. Steve?
Yeah, I'm listening to Mike Ford right now. Here's the issue with Denny Hamlin. He says, I am plowing something fierce. I feel like something wrong, and I feel like I'm solidly hitting the splitter. He also said the 22 got into him and ran him up the hill down in 1 and 2.
Well, I think, yeah, that we had a great shot of that happening, Steve.
I'm not so sure that I think he meant the 14 in 1 and 2 because the 22 got him on the restart right here, but the 14's the one that jacked him up.
A little bit of damage to the rear valence of Hamlin's car.
Can't believe there wouldn't be a little bit of damage to the old orange.
Wasn't that many years ago, these two boys were teammates over at Joe Gibbs Racing.
Now that may be from Kurt Busch jacking him up on the restart.
I don't think. You think it is? I think it's from Tony running into him because the 22 was more up beside of him. Maybe not. It's hard to say.
And Hamlin dives to pit road. Everybody else stays out.
He says, I'm getting away from these guys.
Well, and Steve just talked about how much he was complaining about his race car, and as anticipated, not that many laps. A lot of the drivers at the back of the lead lap come to pit road.
From 20th on back, our car is that pit. Let's pick up the 11 with Steve.
And again, he said he was just hitting the splitter, and he said he thinks something's wrong. They are going to take 4 tires. Don't see any chassis adjustments to that number 11 of Denny Hamlin. 4 tires on this change.
Now they were just on pit road 9 laps ago. And we'll set the restart for you when we come back. 104 laps to go in Kansas. You're watching NASCAR on Fox.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by True Grit on DVD, is sponsored by UPS. Let UPS put the power of logistics to work for you.
Ready for the restart. 102 laps to go. Kurt Busch leads Jeff Gordon to the line. Denny Hamlin pitted and will restart 21st. For Hamlin, it's a one-stop race. Almost everybody else may have to make 2, mindful of what happened last Sunday night.
Who did not get a good restart as we see this battle for second between Jeff Gordon and Tony Stewart. And the 14 was Kyle Busch, and that 18 did not get a very good restart at all.
His brother got a great restart. He's sitting out there, man, 10, 15 car lengths.
Kurt led some 60 laps early in the race, out front on cruise control, and that's where he is right now as Tony Stewart holds off Jeff Gordon, and Stewart takes second. Gordon now under fire by Carl Edwards for third.
I'm just really impressed with that 22 car today and Kurt. I just think this is a real turning point for that team.
Who told me not to pick him?
I don't know.
Yeah, I do.
Don't ask me. I only picked one good one all year, I think. One winner.
4 wide in the back. 5 wide. 5.
They're down on the apron and up on the track, and are they going to make it? That's the question.
Never thought we'd say that today.
That's a bunch of drivers that hit pit road under that last caution, including Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88 that we're riding with, looking at Ambrose in the 9.
Wow, fresh tires, no fear.
Watch this mess.
It's a bunch of fellas in a hurry, Darrell.
Yeah.
Including Hamlin.
Larry said they just hit pit road. They're going to be hitting it again if they keep driving like this for other things.
4, make it 5 wide with Rudeman.
But that just tells you how wide this front straightaway is. It's the widest front straightaway with the apron I think we have.
But Darrell, it has to get a little narrow, even though you have plenty of real estate on the exit of the corner. When you get more than 2 wide,
it gets like a funnel.
No out of bounds here. Now Michigan is as wide as this track or wider, but the transition to the apron is much sharper than this track with only 15 degrees of banking in the corners and 10 in the tri-oval. How about our leader, Steve?
Mike, Kurt Busch just said we're a little bit snug, but this is the best this car has been since we've been restarting.
And it shows, too. Those lap times are amazing.
Jeff Gordon retakes second from Stewart. Now they're about 1.7 seconds off the lead. There's the separation. Everything nice and orderly up front. And then here they come, 2 wide back through the rest of the pack. Menard up high outside of Logano. Ambrose there. And then Mark Martin back battling Gilliland. Here comes Jeff Burton in the 31 with Regan Smith, Montoya, and Rudeman.
Yeah, Montoya in the 42 sat on the outside of the front row in qualifying, and just they've never had a grip on this racetrack, it looks like. And then of course he got into the wall earlier, and he's just been fighting at the back of the pack ever since.
David Rudeman continues to battle Regan Smith. That's back at 24th place.
Boy, that 42 car is a handful, man. It was not very good before he hit the wall. Now it's really got it. Now he's really got his hands full.
Denny Hamlin moving up from that pit stop. Restarted 21st. He's up to 15th. Carl Edwards in 4th. A lot of folks thought the Fords would be very strong today. Right now they're Edwards 4th and Ken's at 5th. Matt?
And looking ahead to the final stretch of the race here, Carl telling Bob Osborne, start thinking about a couple of different ideas and how you could try to help get me more front grip. That's really my only concern at this juncture. He goes, and by the way, I do have one more request.
Hey, you guys give me a cup of coffee or something on the next stop. It'd be nice, some hot chocolate.
A little chilly, buddy?
Yeah, we, cold.
And 4, big guy.
Much like at the start of the race when he was getting on you about the air conditioning.
I love the way Carl and Bob pick at each other. Yeah. They are hilarious. And Bob didn't used to be that way. Carl has really just brought the best out in Bob, I think.
He tries to rattle Bob Osborne, but Bob will not let it happen.
He won't let it go.
The other drivers for whom this is a home track, Jamie McMurray is 29th, and Clint Boyer, yesterday's winner here in the Truck Series, runs in 9th.
Yeah, he's just been slowly working his way into the top 10, Clint Boyer has, and car looks pretty racing.
You know, Clint spent most of his years here in Kansas racing on 2 wheels. He ran dirt bikes for a number of years. He didn't move to 4 wheels until 1996 when he started racing dirt locally around the Kansas and Missouri area.
2-time champion at nearby Lakeside Speedway. builds street rods, rat rods they're called, in his off time.
Got a 50 Mercury that's pretty cool.
A lead sled, if you will. Kurt Busch 1.8 seconds ahead of Jeff Gordon with 92 laps to go. How about another memorable true grit moment from this season of NASCAR on Fox? You like your racing or your horses 4 wide? Take your pick, because that finish at Talladega where Jimmy Johnson bested Clint Boyer by 2 1/1000ths of a second, yeah, that was one for the history books.
That was one of those have you ever.
Never. And there is Jimmy Johnson riding in 6th place, 5.3 seconds off the lead. Behind Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart. And back for 18th. 2 drivers that are trying hard to win their first Sprint Cup race. Ambrose and Allmendinger. They're running with Dale Earnhardt Jr. and add Paul Menard just in front of them. The other that's in the top 25 in points in that category is David Reagan, and he's up in 13th spot.
Yeah, you look at Ambrose and Allmendinger in the 9 and the 43. Teammates at Richard Petty Motorsports both had great runs in the Coke 600 last week.
Junior trying to move back up. He had a little bit of contact while we were in commercial.
The car looks just a little bit loose.
Joey Logano.
Yeah, but the car looks a little bit loose. Right here, I think he just possibly times getting in behind Logano. I think he's trying to squeeze in between. Let's see here. I think he's trying to squeeze in right there. Made just a little slight contact.
Just a bit, Dick.
Well, Junior thinks that they can make it on just one more pit stop. They are trying a little treachery in car number 88, Mike.
There's a video on YouTube we've all seen of some folks enjoying last Sunday night's race and those final laps. All I can tell you is that the lady was an Earnhardt fan and the fellow she was watching the race with was a Kevin Harvick fan. Search Dale Jr. fan on YouTube and you'll find it. That was a tough night for a lot of people, not just Dale and Steve Letarte and their team. It was a great night for Kevin Harvick, who in his 3 victories this season has led a total of 9 laps in those 3 races that he's been to victory lane.
Yeah, Harv said when he got after Martinsville, let's see what right here. I think these guys get together. They're not very happy with each other.
David Ruderman in the 00, A.J. Allmendinger in the 43.
Yeah, they've been banging around on each other.
Well, let's go back 2 laps and have a look.
Right here, you'll see the 47. I mean, it's a 00 come up and gets the 43 loose. This is a different one here and gets him loose again. And I think Allmendinger took offense to this.
I did not see contact. He just ran up there so fast it just takes the air off that rear spoiler and the rear loses grip and gets loose.
Jeff Burton 21st, trying to hold off the dinger in that retro 1972 paint job. Teammates Kevin Harvick, Clint Boyer, this is for 9th.
Thinking that Kevin Harvick might be saying, where did he come from?
No question, Clint Boyer in this 33 group is a classic case. They've been making that car better and better every single pit stop as he's cracked the top 10 after starting the day in 27th.
Now with 81 laps to go, we feel the top 17 cars, Larry, that were last in at lap 154, do those top 18 need 2 stops?
They will definitely have to have 2 stops, including Kurt Busch, our pole sitter, who's leading this race right now. When I look at Denny Hamlin, though, right now, who's running in the 14th position, here's the box that Denny Hamlin, Dale Earnhardt Jr. Yeah, all they have to do if we stay green is run 52 laps per run. But the problem, when those guys hit pit road and get those fresh tires, they're not going to be able to even get out of the way quick enough. It's one of those deals almost like last week. If you're committed to this, you're going to make your bed and you're going to have to lay in it.
12th place, David Reagan passes Casey Kane. And on point, Kurt Busch has now led 93 laps. He's 1.7 seconds ahead of Jeff Gordon.
And it's, hey now, here we go. Gonna get a little bit sideways.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox is sponsored by True Grit. True Grit is the perfect gift this Father's Day. Own it June 7th on Blu-ray, Combo Pack, and DVD. Kurt Busch showing a lot of True Grit. Time for an AT&T race break as he leads Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, Carl Edwards, and Jimmy Johnson. What a leaderboard as we are 74 laps away from closing things out here in Kansas. A 400-mile race, and he has been your leader, the pole sitter. Again, we haven't had a pole sitter win a race since last year.
Well, what a difference this race right here is making for these guys right here. They started out, he was complaining, but right now he's had the dominant car all day long.
Meanwhile, Jeff Gordon finished outside the top 10 in the last 4 races, but here in Kansas, he's been in the top 5 the last 4 times he's run here.
Did not qualify well, but all of a sudden it seemed like these guys, they figured this racetrack out. He loves it. He's up there running second. Look for him to put challenge on Kurt Busch.
And Tony Stewart has moved up 10 spots. He feels like he should already have a couple of wins this year. When it gets hot and sticky is when he gets to victory lane.
This is when this guy really gets his best. This is a type of racetrack where Tony Stewart usually excels. He's already got 2 wins here. Look for him also to get better, and that pit stop's going to be so important.
And Carl Edwards, who came in leading the points for the 6th straight race, and adding to that points lead, he's been steady all year, and he's your pick in our Pizza Hut prediction to win the race.
Yeah, it needs just a little bit of adjustment. Been talking to Bob Osborne. Next caution flag, next green flag stop or pit stop, they're going to make a little tweak to make that car back like it was early on.
Jimmy Johnson started 31st, his worst starting position this year, but he told us on the pre-race show he likes the direction of his team in his quest for a 6th straight championship.
Right now, Chad Canal seems like he's on his game. Him and Jimmy are communicating today. They're making the car better each time they bring it down pit road, and the pit crew's been performing.
And you said it once this race started. We had 1 caution in the first 111 laps. You said this is a Matt Kenseth kind of race. He's a green flag, long run kind of guy.
Got a solid pit crew right there, and he's steady Eddie. Jimmy Finnick, the crew chief on this car, he talked about short pitting today, but right now he's going to have to go for it if he wants to go the distance.
Much of the discussion with DW, Larry, and Mike has been about the heat, how hot it is in the car on the track. Last week, this guy overheated when the blower went out. They straightened things out, but he's a 2-time winner here. He's led more laps at Kansas than any other driver, and hanging in there looking for his first win of the year.
And the operative word right there was hanging in there. Right now, this car has not been that good. You see it get a little bit loose right out the exit of that corner. They have not been able to lead all day long as far as getting up there and run like we normally expect them to do.
Also on the pre-race, Darrell talked about how winning is more important with the wild card this year. Kevin Harvick, that's been his mantra all along. With 3 wins already, he would appear to be a lock for the chase, so he can take more chances.
He can take more chances right now, and the closer is starting to close on this top 5 or 6 guys. I mean, he's getting a little stronger each and every time, but he needs another adjustment to probably put that car where it needs to be able to do it what he did last week in Charlotte.
Brad Keslowski, Dodgers don't have a win yet, but the polls for Roger Penske, you see 1 leading and Keselowski hanging in there inside the top 10.
And Chris, I think right now this is where we're starting to see some strength as far as these 2 guys working together. I'm talking about the 2 and the 22, both these cars right now inside the top 10.
And Clint Boyer, who is from Kansas, currently running 10th, followed by Kyle Busch.
I think he's running on adrenaline. The 33's been off all week long, but right now this is his home racetrack. He's got to make it happen today, and you're starting to see the 33 make a move.
So Denny Hamlin has led the 2nd most laps behind Kurt Busch, followed by Carl Edwards. But let's see, with green flag stops coming your way with 68 laps to go, to check the current standings, the pit crew that the fans have voted for. That's you, AT&T customers. You can text OK. AT&T, the nation's fastest mobile broadband network, getting faster with 4G.
Yeah, pit stops are coming right now. And Krista, what's going on pit road?
AJ Allmendinger is in. He said his car is a bag of junk right now, no rear grip.
Mark Martin has also stopped, and here comes Kevin Harvick. Harvick giving up 8th place to pit, Krista.
Yeah, and Kevin Harvick right now saying his car will just not turn on the restarts. They're putting a 1/4 pound of air back in the right rear to try to help Harvick with the balance.
So this round of stops under green means that most everybody will have to make 1 more stop after this one as Greg Biffle comes to pit road.
Seems to me a mixed bag, Mike. A lot of guys are complaining about pushing real bad. Other guys real loose.
Harvick's in. Reagan, Truex, and Menard. Kristen.
Greg Biffle's crew going to work on the car. This is a team, remember, not afraid to make changes. They made changes to their road crew after the cool box issue last week. Ryan Dextray's the new gas man this year going to work. Matt.
Bottle of water for Kurt Boyer. Also air pressure change as well. They've really worked on this race car, making progress. Extremely loose at the beginning, not so bad now. The 78 of Regan Smith is in as well. His car too free. Air pressure change.
Jeff Burton and Joey Logano. Here comes Kyle Busch, Casey Kane, and Brian Vickers.
And our leader, Kurt Busch, he can kind of wait to see what the drivers right behind him do, like Gordon, Stewart, Edwards, and Johnson, to see when they hit pit road. But right now, Steve, Kyle Busch is on pit road.
Larry Mack, he has loosened up big time. He also said, I need you to clean the grill. She's starting to run a little bit hot. He said, loose in, loose the center, and loose off. Matt.
And Carl Edwards on his way down pit road to Bob Osborne. He says he needs help the most getting the car to rotate. Way too free. He can't get much more free on exit. Air pressure change, possible chassis adjustment. Dick.
And Matt Kenseth on pit road right now. He has been knocking on the door of a potential win today, but the car has gotten just right.
Jimmy Johnson and David Rudiman making stops. Matt.
And Mike's service almost complete on Jimmy Johnson's Chevrolet. He's finally away. Jimmy said he was trying to move around, trying to help himself, but the car is still too free.
63 laps to go, too far to go. The distance without making another stop. Rudiman on the right of your screen as Kurt Busch continues to log laps. Now he's running right at about 34 seconds right now. Cars that just got tires are 1 second a lap faster.
I think he's coming right now. He had to when Jimmy Johnson in that 48 group hit pit road, and I think you see Gordon in the 24 following him.
Trying to mirror what he does. Hang with him.
Bobby Labonte also in along with Marcus Ambrose. Now Busch had a 1 second lead prior to stops. We'll see what it is after they come out and we cycle through this round of green flag pit stops. Tony Stewart is the new leader, Steve.
Kurt Busch and Jeff Gordon into their pit stops. Kurt Busch says it's a little bit snug. Let's not do anything to it. I want it to be a little bit free. Jeff Gordon, you see behind him, he says it's a little bit loose off the corners, but it's good in clean air. No changes for Kurt Busch. Air pressure adjustment for Jeff Gordon.
They come in together, they leave together.
Pretty much identical stops. Look like both guys same time in the pits.
Stewart is the leader from Brad Keslowski, Denny Hamlin, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and Jamie McMurray comes up to the top 5. The top 9 cars right now have not made this green flag stop.
But I'll tell you one thing that Kurt Busch did to Jeff Gordon. He yarded him pretty good coming out of the pits up onto the racetrack over there. He really widened his lead on Jeff Gordon when they came around turn 1, staying on the apron to get to the back straightaway.
David Gilliland and Andy Lally on pit road. Lally carrying the colors of the Paul Newman hole-in-the-wall gang camps that we support with Fox Sports Supports.
And we see a battle on the right between Jeff Gordon and the 24, Brad Keselowski in the 2. But as I see Tony Stewart in the 14, with him continuing to run laps, if he can go 3 to 4 more laps, he can do it on that stop right there. He can make it to the end. Tony Stewart has won this race before on fuel mileage.
And this is their strategy, Larry, week in and week out. We saw it at Charlotte. We saw it at Texas. We've seen this team do this time and time again.
Brad Keselowski in this 22 car, the 2 car rather, that's running second. I get a feeling they may be on that same strategy because all these drivers we're looking at, Keselowski and Stewart, were on pit road at 154. All they have to do is run 56 laps one time and 57 the next.
Now there are 5 cars behind them that may be able to make it on one more stop. First, let's check with Matt.
And Mike, Larry, Mack, and DW have hit on it perfectly. That's exactly the strategy for Tony Stewart and for the 2 of Brad Keselowski. They're trying to hold out to lap 210. They should be pitting next time by.
Now the 5 cars I mentioned that might make it with one more stop, that stopped at lap 163, are Hamlin, Earnhardt, McMurray, Ryan Newman, and Montoya.
This is just getting Kurt Busch in the 22 back on the lead lap. But Tony Stewart, when he makes his stop in one more lap, That will be his final stop should we stay green, as we now see Brad Keselowski give up the second spot. He hits pit road.
It's Travis Kvapil in front of Keselowski, who pits out of second place. Matt?
Mike, Paul Wolf, and Brad Keselowski have really gelled, especially. Oh, he slides that left front into his box. They insert the fuel can. He said he needs more stability in his race car, especially through the center to exit of the corner. Air pressure change only for Keselowski. Meanwhile, the 14 of Tony Stewart, he has entered pit road. Darian Grubb and company up on the wall waiting for Stewart. He says, you've got to get my race car more in the racetrack on exit. Need more help. And Stewart goes for his third win here at Kansas.
On the left of your screen, your new leader, Denny Hamlin. Chassis adjustment for Stewart. Second can of gas, left side tires.
Mike, I honestly feel like Denny Hamlin in the 11 car, he'll probably run 3, 4, 5 more laps, and that will well put him in the window to make it to the end.
I like his position. He's in the comfort zone. These other guys are right on the edge.
So now the front 5 stopped at lap 163 and might be able to make it with just one more stop. Denny Hamlin is your race leader. 4.5 seconds behind his Toyota is Dale Earnhardt Jr. Sprint users have spoken. We're going to ride shotgun with Jr. Brought to you by Sprint and HTC Evo 4G. Fuel your inner NASCAR fan with live in-car audio on NASCAR Sprint Cup Mobile and the new HTC Evo 4G at sprint.com/speed. 2 more means that Earnhardt will pit and have to run 52 laps to get to the finish line.
And that's what he would have run, 52 laps since he was last on pit road.
And that's right in the window, 52 laps.
Provided we don't have a rash of green-white checkers at the finish.
Just can't live there, you know.
Nope.
It may happen, it may not. We've got to deal with what we got.
Montoya is one of those 5, and he pits on this lap. So that leaves Hamlin, Earnhardt, McMurray, and Newman out there trying to stretch with a 1-stop race. Hamlin's coming.
Yeah, here he comes.
Earnhardt behind him hits the brakes. Dick Berggren.
Once Earnhardt spun, this pit strategy was the only way remaining that they were going to win the race. And this team is focused on winning the race. It has been so long, not just for driver, but for pit crew. That was with Jeff Gordon last year. They are longing and hungry for a win, and that's what matters.
All the stretchers are in. McMurray, Newman, and in front of Steve, Hamlin.
Track bar adjustment for Denny Hamlin. They contemplated 2 tires, but they are going to take 4. They also clean the grill.
Kurt Busch cycles back to the lead. And now he is 1.8 ahead of Jeff Gordon.
But with him pitting on lap 205, I just don't know that he can go no 65 laps.
You know, in the heat of Kansas, Jamie McMurray tried to get it all coming onto pit road and stay on the lead lap with this stop. 51 laps to go in Kansas.
NASCAR Sprint Cup Racing on Fox, presented by True Grit on DVD, is sponsored by Sprint, proud sponsor of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. By Lipitor. And by American Ethanol, American grown, American made, powering NASCAR.
American Ethanol camera on board Clint Boyer, running 18th right now. These green flag stops have really split the field. Check that 13th for Boyer, and he is 18 seconds back of leader Kurt Busch. If fuel becomes an issue, the drivers who are best placed are Tony Stewart in 6th and Brad Keslowski in 8th. They can go the distance. Everybody else is hoping to get to lap 267 with the tank of fuel they have.
If fuel becomes an issue, I'm going to start looking for water bottles, any kind of thing inside my car I could possibly get rid of, just in case.
Something that doesn't have your name or your car number on it.
Don't. At that point, I don't really care. Just give me a caution.
Kurt Busch has led 117 laps today. 24 cars on the lead lap right now. He just put Regan Smith a lap down. And your Pizza Hut fan favorite is up to 2nd place. Jeff Gordon 2.3 seconds off the lead. Only 8 leaders today. Gordon has not led a lap and picked up the bonus point for doing so.
Mike, we look at the trends of their averages, you know, every race, and they've thrown us a bit of a curveball in 2011, especially as far as late race cautions. I know we've never been here in June, but I looked at the last 5 fall Kansas races, and the trends of the averages says our last caution average lap 212 with roughly 55 laps to go.
Carl Edwards 3rd, Larry 5.8 back, and Jimmy Johnson 6.2 off the lead. Last fall, the final 72 laps were run under green, and we've been almost 60 since we saw the last caution flag. 5th place, Tony Stewart, Matt Kenseth continue to duke it out. They're about 8.5 seconds from the leader.
Typical Kenseth day. Just been around, and now they're top 5 and probably end up, you know, 2nd, 3rd, maybe even win the thing.
Well, Mr. Where Did He Come From is going to have to come from 7th if he's going to get to the finish line first this week. Kenseth in 6th, and there is Harvick just ahead of Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski in that 2, we feel like he's the other driver that can possibly make it to the end, and right now he's about 3 to 4 seconds behind Tony Stewart in that 14 car.
And I like what he's doing there. If that's his plan, looks like he's drafting just a little bit off the 29 car. Got a little battle here.
3rd place. Now there are more than 2 drivers that can go the distance. Stewart and Keselowski are the highest placed of those, but Denny Hamlin in 16th, Earnhardt in 20th. Also stopped around lap 210 to 215, and so did Ryan Newman.
Yeah, Hamlin, I mean, should it go overtime, I think Hamlin might be all right.
He should, Darrell, but we keep getting a report and feedback that the handling has went away on that race car. He said, I cannot turn it in a 10-acre field.
Ooh, and that burns fuel.
16th place. Hamlin's had top 10 finishes 3 of the last 4 races, including a second best at his home track, Richmond. And he's gained 8 spots in the points over the last 5 races.
Well, these 2 boys right here, Carl Edwards in the 99, Jimmy Johnson in the 48, they know they're going to have to make another pit stop, so they're just racing their guts out right now with 39 laps to go.
Yeah, that's how you give it all you got if you know you're going to have to stop again. Get as much a gap as you can on whomever's behind you.
Kurt Busch leads Jeff Gordon by 2 seconds. 38 nail-biting laps to go in Kansas. Will it be a fuel mileage marathon in Kansas? 33 laps to go. Kurt Busch out front.
You see right there, Tony Stewart sitting back there running 5th, and Brad Keselowski sitting right there in the 2 car who's running in the 7th position. We feel like those 2 drivers can make it to the end.
And Denny Hamlin came in at lap 215 along with Dale Earnhardt Jr. We're pretty sure they can make it. Casey Kane just came in for a splash of gas. Yesterday's race at Chicago, the 2 leaders coming to the flag both ran out of gas coming off turn 4, and Justin Allgaier sputtered his way to the checkered flag ahead of Carl Edwards.
I've seen one guy run out just like we saw at Charlotte. I've seen other guys run out, but coming to the line, two guys racing for the win, and both of them ran out of gas.
Now the irony, Brad Keselowski's teammate leading this race, Kurt Busch in the 22. There you see his crew chief Steve Addington.
30 on tires. 32 to go.
It's 35 laps on this set of tires. They were last on pit road, a lap 2:05.
Long way to go. Will he have enough gas to get there?
I don't know, Mike, but I'm about to run out of fingernails. I know that.
Stewart now 5th. And with the fuel to go the distance, Jeff Gordon came in on the same lap as the leader, Kurt Busch, lap 2:05. Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson right behind them, stopped 2 laps sooner. Matt?
Brad Keselowski runs 7th. His crew chief Paul Wolf has done the math, he and the engineers, and at this point, Mike, they are 3/4 of a lap short, they believe, on fuel. They've notified Brad. He recently went into fuel conservation mode, trying to save. He says, right now, I'm at about the 20% fuel save technique. So right now, he's looking to save fuel on the 2.
Well, the good news, Matt, is when we look at Tony Stewart, he's 2 positions behind him, 4 seconds behind him. If you go all the way back to Denny Hamlin, the 11, right now he has about a 14, 15-second lead over Denny Hamlin.
Steve?
And listening to Kurt Busch, he says, my car is starting to get tight. I'm going to go up on the high side and try that.
I don't think he can go any higher. He's been running pretty high here for quite a while now, but to save fuel, I know that sounds like, how could you save fuel and be racing? But a driver knows. It's just like driving your street car. If you smash the gas every time you take off from a stoplight, you're going to burn more fuel than if you ease up the speed. And that's what you want to do. You want to ease into the throttle. You want to roll out of the throttle. You want to let the car roll on its own through the corner. Try to use that gas pedal as slightly and lightly as possible.
Martin Truex on pit road for fuel, and they're going to put right side tires in while he's there. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 16th overall, but he may be second in class. Dick?
Well, they have told Junior that what he has to do is to run down Denny Hamlin in the 11th car. That pit, Earnhardt's pit, has decided that the 11th car of Hamlin is the only one that can make it. So if Earnhardt can pass him, he can win the race that way. So ways to go to do that.
I almost confer. I mean, I almost agree that Hamlin is the only one that realistically can make it. Everybody else is going to try. I think they're going to run out if they try to make it.
What I like about that plan, there's nothing Dale Earnhardt Jr. can do about Tony Stewart and Brad Keselowski. So I agree. Run down the 11 car of Denny Hamlin and see what happens.
Kevin Harvick is on pit road. So is Greg Biffle. Krista?
When you have 3 wins, you can afford to be a little more risky. The call for Kevin Harvick, right sides only, and just as much fuel as we need. Greg Biffle is in. It's 4 tires for Greg Biffle.
Mark Martin also on pit road for a final stop, splash, and at least right side tires.
Yeah, I agree with the right side tires with only 25 to go. The thing 4 tires will do for you, Darrell, if we do get a quick caution, then if you're a lap down, you could take that wave around.
Third place race. Jimmy Johnson tried it on Carl Edwards. Couldn't make it work there.
Larry, I just believe that was the time to take 2. If I'd have been Biffle, based on what I've seen him do with 2 tires in the past, 2 tires, get some track position.
And I think that's definitely what we'll see most of these drivers do.
Marcus Ambrose, Regan Smith in the pit lane. 24 laps to go.
Well, here's the difference. Here goes, look, here's Harvick at the line right now. He took 2 tires. Here comes Biffle. He's just coming off turn 4. He took 4 tires now, and they pitted together.
Yeah, there's no way he's going to run him down unless we have a caution.
Tires aren't going to do you any good now.
Clint Boyer, his teammate Paul Menard, both come to pit road. David Rudemann's in, and so is Jeff Burton. 3 of the Childress cars in the pit lane. Harvick's already been and gone. Now, the earlier you stop in this session of green flag pit stops, you'll have those quicker laps sooner than cars that are still out on the racetrack. Larry, so I guess if you think you have to stop, why wait?
Yeah, I think the only drivers that can do that, Mike, are the drivers that are way back. There's no way right now Kurt Busch, Jeff Gordon, Carl Edwards, Johnson, and those guys can do it.
Green flag stops continue for some as we are 23 laps from the finish in Kansas. Kurt Busch stays on track as many of the cars behind him, including Jeff Gordon, have pitted. Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, and more. So Busch from lap 205 still on the racetrack with 18 to go. The cars right behind him, Stewart and Keslowski, might be able to make it, and we know the 5th and 6th place cars pretty much can go the distance.
Would you go all the way as far as you can go, Larry? Fuel only?
Well, the only thing about Kurt Busch in the 22 car, he's the last of our top drivers that were in that top 5 to still be on the racetrack. He's given up so much time to even those drivers that changed right side tires only. That's the thing that would concern me. Obviously, what he's banking on is keep going and a caution comes out.
Now, a couple more drivers have snuck up into the top 10. Brian Vickers into 4th and Joey Logano 7th because of these pit stops. They are banking on a caution coming out where they'd have track position and be able to make that last stop under caution.
Yeah, Brian Vickers in the 83 running 4th. He should have to pit before Kurt Busch because Brian has not been on pit road since lap 202.
Two cars that have stopped, Harvick and Kyle Busch, right now are 12th and 13th. Jimmy Johnson 14th as they battle. Whoa, Johnson threads the needle.
I got to go, man. I'm out of here.
Time's running out.
That's right.
16 to go.
Did you look at the clock? One thing about it, Larry, as this season unfolds, these crew chiefs are going to get smarter and smarter about this fuel mileage game, this game that they're playing.
Brian Vickers pits out of 4th place, and that'll take him from the lead pack. And the 48 gets through there and picks up the spot, 12th place. Matt?
Mike, the drama meter also high for Tony Stewart in the 14. They've gone back after the last stop. They've recalculated the numbers. Darian Grubb just told Tony they are about 1 lap short of making it on fuel. The math not good here in the 14 camp.
Remember Texas. Stewart does. He ran the fuel strategy, but a speeding penalty on his last stop dropped him to 12th.
Well, Darrell and I were talking about Tony Stewart and his 14 group. They pitted on lap 211. That's 56 laps to go. He ran 57 laps earlier with 7 cautions. It's about a 2-to-1 ratio, which equals 54 green flag laps, but he's going to have to run 56 green flag laps.
I don't see how you can do it. I think you're going to run out. I think you're going to run out in the 3rd turn.
Meanwhile, the driver Steve Letarte told Dale Earnhardt Jr. to catch and pass is now right off his hood ornament, Denny Hamlin.
Now, would it not be poetic justice if Junior would win this race this weekend on fuel mileage?
What about Denny Hamlin, who ran out of fuel with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in turn 3 and 4 last week?
The 2 guys that ran out of fuel last week may just be able to stretch it this week.
Joey Logano pits, and here is Stewart in the pit lane. They are not going to gamble with 13 laps to go.
I think that's a smart call. They learned their lesson last year.
Matt?
Mike, Rick Pigeon, the second gas man, he's already filling up the 14 car. He's nodding that the 14's full of fuel. 2 tires for Stewart. He's away.
You know what? As we look at Kurt Busch, that's leading this race now, this is the battle right now for 3rd. Denny Hamlin in the 11, looking at Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88. But Brad Keselowski, the 2 car, Kurt Busch's teammate, they're 25th in the points. I'd run that son of a gun till it won't go no more here with 12 laps to go.
And Keselowski was on pit road 5 laps after his teammate Kurt Busch, who is still on the racetrack. Meanwhile, these 2 just keep inching up the board as the leaders pit. Logging laps, Hamlin and Earnhardt 3rd and 4th.
These are the guys to watch right here.
Could this end up being the pass that wins the race? We'll see. Hamlin's hanging tough on the outside of Dale Jr.
I think that Hamlin may have been waiting for Junior to catch him before he really tries to race him maybe, trying to save as much fuel as he can.
Well, I think these two drivers know this could be the race for the win. They also know they can easily make it to the end without stopping.
Now here's Paul Menard coming up on them. Menard has fresh tires and plenty of fuel. So right now they're kind of holding him up, but they are the third and fourth place cars. Menard is a lap down, as with most of the drivers who have led the race today.
This is when you hope that car's name is Wilma. Will my car make it?
And Kurt Busch is coming in. The leader will pit for fuel with 10 laps to go.
Man, I'd slap a little fuel in that thing and get out of there.
He will surrender the lead to his teammate Brad Keslowski.
His lap times were pretty good, and man, that's the only chance he's got.
Now, Brad Keselowski, we know that he pitted 5 laps after his teammate Kurt Busch in the 22, but now he's going to have to run 8 laps from where we're at right now.
Steve?
They talked about fuel only, but right side's going on for Kurt Busch in the 22s, just right side tires.
Keselowski, the new leader. Earnhardt, Hamlin will motor past Busch, who is wobbling in turn 1. He can't get going. The car may not be taking fuel.
And that would be terrible for his teammate Brad Keselowski if he can't get that car going.
He's got it. He's got it. It's fired up now. He's going. He's going. Can you imagine that?
So Kurt Busch was apparently all but out of fuel, as now he builds speed in the back straightaway, and we have 8 laps to go. Brad Keselowski was on pit road 5 laps before Earnhardt and Hamlin, who we're pretty sure can go the distance if the fuel pickup in the fuel cell will pick up enough gas to get them to the finish line.
Now, you know, sometimes you're gambling, and sometimes you're just trying to, you're just running on a wing and a prayer, and that's what that 2 car is doing. I think he's running on a wing and a prayer, baby.
Well, with a 6-second lead over Dale Earnhardt Jr., you know, he can even save more fuel. Roll out a little early, pick it up a little bit later.
Now, of the drivers that had to stop, Jeff Gordon is now 4th. Carl Edwards 5th. Matt Kenseth, Tony Stewart, Jimmy Johnson. Juan Pablo Montoya has not stopped. He's 9th. And Kurt Busch rejoins in 10th.
There'll be 6 laps to go. It looks like that Brad Keselowski has slowed his car down about a second a lap with a 5.5-second lead. 6 to go this time.
I believe
that's not enough.
No, but I believe he can outrun Dale Jr. Even if Dale Jr. got to him, he's been running a little quicker lap times. We'll see what happens here, but man, he needs to roll out early. Let that thing coast.
Jr. is 9/10 of a second faster with 6 laps to go.
I mean, you got to use a little, you know, you got to be realistic here.
If Dale Jr. can make up a second a lap, he'll win it. If Keselowski can save enough fuel, he might be able to coast to the line.
Listen to this thing.
5 to go.
Listen to him. He's probably kicking it out of gear. Probably kicking the clutch in.
Now.
He is. See that? He pushed the clutch in. Let it coast. You got to coast. Stay off the gas.
4.9 seconds is the margin with 5 to go.
There he goes. Push the clutch in. Coast, coast, coast. Look at that.
Look at the RPM right there. He's definitely shutting it off when he rolls out of the throttle.
He's got plenty of lead over Dale Jr.
4.8.
He's got plenty of lead.
Junior is no longer gaining.
You're doing fine.
Larry, you tell a race driver you got to drive this thing as fast as it'll go, and now look what he's got to do to win it.
I haven't told him that in several laps.
Yeah.
I keep telling him how far that 88 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. is back there, how many laps to go.
4.5 back, 4 laps to go.
But I love what Brad's doing. I mean, he is really doing a smart job. It's going to be oh so close.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. is doing everything he can do. He's just got to run it as hard as he can. He's pulled away from Denny Hamlin now. 3 to go for Brad Keselowski.
But something's not right there, Larry, because Earnhardt Jr. is not closing on the 2.
He hadn't been catching him very much, and you see here now, Clint Bowyer's working on the outside of Dale Jr., almost like Dale Jr.'s giving up.
Yeah, it's about a 1/2 second a lap now that Brad Keselowski is slower than Dale Earnhardt Jr.
And you see, there goes Bowyer by Dale Jr.
But keep in mind, Bowyer's a lap down. Dick.
Junior has been told that he too has to conserve fuel, so he has had to back out a little bit.
Yeah, if Brad doesn't, I mean, Brad's got it made. I don't think he has to worry about Dale Jr. at all. I didn't think that from the get-go. He just got to worry about running out of fuel.
2 laps to go. The margin is 4 seconds.
And how do we know how to calculate gas mileage when the guy's doing what Brad's doing? When you're kicking the clutch in, coasting the car the way he's doing, how do you know?
Hamlin is 7 seconds back.
There you see Paul Wolf made the move from the NNS Series with Brad Keselowski this year. Paul Wolf never been to victory lane as a Sprint Cup Series crew chief.
White flag. Do you have enough fumes to get to the finish line?
Well, he's got enough lead. Doesn't have to worry about that.
3.5, 3.4, 3.3, 3.2.
Guy looks like
Earnhardt's coming.
He looks like he's crawling there. I swear he's not going very fast at all.
3 seconds.
If he can get in here, and if he can get this thing headed toward the start-finish line.
Half a mile to go. 2.9.
You can coast from there. You can shut it off and coast.
2.8. Brad Keselowski survives and wins in Kansas.
We finally caught a break, Paul. Awesome call, man. Good job, guys.
Smart guy right there.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. second, 2.8 back. Denny Hamlin third. Their strategy paid off. Jeff Gordon fourth. Carl Edwards fifth. Kenseth, Johnson, Stewart, Kurt Busch, Greg Biffle, the top 10.
First win for Penske since winning at the Coke 600 a year ago. Kurt Busch driving the 2 car.
Penske had a pretty good weekend,
that
guys.
Flag, man. I want that flag. Shelly.
Ooh, I'd be careful going out there.
Here's the flag he wants. It's there at pit road. A crewman has brought him an American flag.
Guys. Great job.
Brad Keselowski is a third-generation racer from Michigan. He got a win, a controversial one at Talladega, driving for James Finch in a car provided by Rick Hendrick to Finch, and now moves over to Penske, and he picks up a win here in the Heartland.
Last week the incredible move was pushing your teammates. This week the incredible move to me was Brad kicking that clutch in and coasting into those corners. And it paid off.
Keselowski led the last 9 laps. Gas? Gas?
May not have any tires, but we're going to have gas.
You know the irony of Brad Keselowski, he got that break in 2007 to run that truck race, subbing for the suspended Ted Musgrave. He caught the eye of Dale Earnhardt Jr. Dale Earnhardt Jr. hired him full-time for the NNS.
Well, he's a Midwesterner. You know, I mean, his family has been in the ARCA series for years. They have paid their dues, man.
67th Sprint Cup win for car owner Roger Penske. Keselowski's third at Darlington was his best finish this year to date, and his first top 5 since joining the Penske team. Steve Letarte comes oh so close for the second week in a row, but they have the second best average finish of anybody in this sport this year. Dale Jr. is having a great season, congratulates Keselowski, and gets to share the flag.
Junior, no, I don't want the flag. It's like when Jimmy Johnson tried to give him the flag. I don't want the flag.
The one he wants has black and white squares on it.
That's right.
Dick Bergman.
Well, Kurt Busch, you gave it such a valiant effort. How heartbreaking is it to wind up here instead of victory lane this afternoon?
It's all right. I'm real proud of the way this team is run. To have a car that could lead laps today and be very competitive like we were, I was all smiles. You know, I felt the groove again, to lead the race, to pace ourselves, to have team communication. It was great. It was solid. You know, there was always something in the back of my mind today that we weren't going to win, but I'm glad Brad Keselowski got this win for those Miller Lite guys. For Dodge, we're real happy to keep AAA up front all day today. You know, it's just one of those things. You're on the right side of the fuel cycle sometimes you're not, but I'm real proud of my guys, and we'll take this 9th place. I'm not discouraged at all.
Congratulations. Matt Yoakum.
And I'll tell you what, Dale Jr., there was heat, there was a spin, fuel mileage conservation. What was the biggest obstacle for you today?
Track position. Spun out there at one time trying to find some more speed, and just real loose. And which I liked it. It was hot and slick. That's the way I like it today. And just trying to get a little too much there at one time. Cost us a lot of track position, but hey, in the long run, that probably is what kind of set it up for us to finish second. We had a good car, though. We was fast all day, and just got to qualify better, so we got to work so hard.
Confidence has to be there because it just seems like this team gets better and better every week.
Yeah, we shouldn't have run second today, but we got to fix some things. But we got fast cars. We can be fast.
Thanks, Junior.
Earnhardt and Hamlin's strategy worked perfectly. The only thing was, Brad Keslowski and Paul Wolf's strategy worked better. 140 inside that car, and here he comes, Chris Devoto.
75 races ago, Brad Keslowski stood in victory lane stunned after winning at Talladega. Seems like, as I'm getting a beer bath in victory lane.
I won't put beer on you. I'll put beer on these guys. I won't put beer on a lady.
Well, I'll let you know when there's a lady standing here next to you. But I want to talk about that win. It's been 75 races since you and I stood in victory lane at Talladega. You were stunned then. What is your emotion now?
Well, right now, how good this tastes. It's hot out there, and I know there's a lot of fans out there enjoying a cold one, and this one's pretty good. But it's been a little while, but we've been so close lately. We really have. We've been kind of plugging away. We had a car that I thought was capable of winning at Bristol and got an early wreck, and had a car last week that sat on a pole, probably had a shot at, and just caught the wrong line on the restart. And same thing at Dover and Darlington, and just never could catch that good break. And you can only put yourself in that position so many times before you're going to catch the right break. And we caught a great break today, and it's all because of the hard work of everybody on the Miller Lite team and working on these Dodge Chargers. And
speaking of
sure they got great gas mileage, that doesn't hurt either.
Well, speaking of catching a break, you had the guy who gave you a break a few years ago behind you. You had to save fuel to beat Dale Earnhardt Jr. today. How in the world did you do it?
Well, there's some secrets to it, and just maximized them all, and have plenty left. I didn't know, the 14 car pitted the same time I did, and he came out in front of me. So I thought for sure I was going to run second. I was just hoping to hang on to second, and nobody really told me I was leading. I don't know when I took the lead over. So somehow, the scoreboard here is right in the middle of the racetrack. I looked over and caught my name on the top with about 2 to go, and I started shaking. So I'm glad they didn't tell me. It's because of the hard work. It's because of the bad finishes and the struggles it's been to get here that I really appreciate this win. And I really appreciate what this means to my whole team and to everybody that's helped me to get here, and to Roger Penske and Miller Lite that have put me in this ride and stuck with me through a bad year last year. And now we're in good shape. Heck, we get one more of these wins and we can make the chase.
The Blue Deuce back in victory lane, second career win, Cup win for Brad Keslowski.
What strategy? Conserve fuel, coast through the corners. What a day.
It's all things that drivers learn to do. Watch this kid. Down in the corner. Off the gas. Engine just idling. Don't burn a lot of fuel at idle.
That's what allowed him to run 57 laps when nobody else could.
Brad Keslowski hypermiles his way to victory lane in Kansas. More from the Heartland after this.
One more corner. You can coast from there. You can shut it off and coast. The winner, baby. No way. Yes. We finally caught a break, Paul. Awesome call, man. Good job, guys. This is awesome, guys. This is really, really awesome. I hope you all are enjoying this like I am. Yeah, you just doubled your win total in one race. Doubled it.
Crew Chief Paul Wolf having some fun with 27-year-old Brad Keslowski. 60 races since his only win, so with sense of humor, but a very likable guy, Keslowski. Feisty, he's got the wide smile, and he handled the heat today. Led only 9 laps, the final 9 laps, to pull out his second career win.
Yeah, a week ago he told me about the heat at Charlotte, how bad it was. He lost 16 pounds inside that race car, but he told me I'll be ready when we get to Kansas City, and he's a very tough little kid.
And you just never knew going into this race. You guys all predicted different drivers who had the hot hand, and that's how it's been. An unpredictable kind of year as we leave the Fox broadcast, and a lot of great finishes that we enjoyed watching you guys call.
but it's been so much fun. And I think the last thing Brad said, you know, you win it, you're in it. That has made this a season unlike any other.
Well, I just think some of these first-time winners and some of these crew chief changes that were made in the offseason, some of the rule changes, we have a great product right now, and it's so fun to come to the track every week because you don't know what's going to happen. It's so unpredictable, and I like that.
Yeah, you just look at our winners here in 2011. Trevor Bayne wins Daytona. Regan Smith, Darlington. Oh, by the way, Brad Keselowski wins Kansas. But I go back to Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s interview. A year ago, he would have given anything on earth for a second-place finish, but today in 2011, this is our NASCAR. It's all about winning. It's not about running second and a good points day.
And boy, is it fun. Our great thanks to all the dedicated professionals that bring this race into your living room every week. And I need to take a quick second and single out two. We've all seen the devastation footage from the tornadoes that have hit America. But that piece that Jake Jolivet and Dan Massey edited about Jamie McMurray's visit to Joplin, I'm teared up thinking about it as I was seeing it. My goodness, folks, we owe it all to you, and you make us look good every week, and boy, we love to bring this race home for the folks.
And we thank the fans for supporting those in NASCAR who try and do good things with the extra time and resources that they have. And, of course, that win, you talk about the wild card, Keselowski, and we'll look at points in a moment. That helps him get closer. The unofficial results here, Denny Hamlin wound up third, still searching for his first win of the year. Carl Edwards, Jimmy Johnson, those guys still hanging around the top of the points picture.
Yeah, they put the solid runs in right now, Chris. Each and every week, these guys are a factor.
Clint Boyer, the Kansas native, winding up in the top 20. Mark Martin, Joey Logano, Regan Smith, who has a victory but has to work his way inside the top 20 in points if he wants to figure with Jeff Gordon and Brad Keselowski for the pending one of the two wild card spots. And rounding out the results from our race here in Kansas, 400 miles. A lot more to go here. Talk to some more drivers, wrap up the portion of the season that Fox is broadcasting. Look ahead and see who won our Pizza Hut prediction between Jeff Hammond, Darrell Waltrip, and Larry Mack in just a moment. Back live here in Kansas, where Brad Keselowski picks up his first win of the year, the first win for Dodge this season. 9 different leaders, 17 lead changes. Carl Edwards led for 29 laps, and Carl remains the points leader halfway to the chase for the Sprint Cup Championship. Matt Yoakum caught up with Carl.
When you come to Kansas, this is the Daytona 500 for Carl Edwards, and it seemed like at about the 250 mark in that mileage that the 99 just flipped the switch. Did the track just go away and hard to keep up?
Yeah, the track changed a little bit. It kept getting slicker and slicker, which is great. But I didn't I didn't tell Bob what I needed, and I didn't know on that restart that we were going to be so loose. So we had that one restart, and our Aflac Fusion went back, and I applaud Bob and the guys. They worked really hard and addressed the problems I had. But then we had that long green flag run at the end, which is great. I'm really glad NASCAR let it run out like that. But we just didn't have the track position. But a fun day, and congrats to Brad. Those guys did a good job with the strategy. It just, man, I really like that racetrack. This is my new favorite racetrack. If it's hot and slick like this every time, it's me. I like it.
And if you're a Carl Edwards fan, Pocono and Michigan coming up, 2 of his good racetracks.
Well, Denny, tell us about the day-to-day. You guys had a different pit cycle, but you guys really fought through some adversity.
Yeah, proud of our whole FedEx race team. Did a great job today. We had a really good car there at the beginning, and there towards the middle part, I'm thinking something gave out on the front end, and we just went real bad tight. So we decided to come in, work on it, get fuel to put us right there on that pit window, and obviously it worked out great for us. So can't say enough for this whole team. We're battling back. Pit crew's really stepping up these last few weeks and getting ourselves back in position.
Denny, you said in the spring that you felt like you guys will be headed in the right direction. It appears that you are. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the slicker the racetrack, usually the better we are. So once we get into the summer, get to these hot racetracks, especially Pocono next week, we should be in good shape.
Thank you, Denny.
Thank you.
Well, Tony Stewart has won here, running out of gas today. Tony, you had to pit for gas and lost the race.
Well, it's happened before. I mean, it happened to the 22 car too. So it's just, that's just pit strategy, and guys were able to pit when we had to stay out early in a run, and that got them to the end.
If you had the race to run over again, is there anything you would have done differently to win it?
I mean, we didn't get all the fuel in it. We might have been able to make it to the end, but we had a problem getting the fuel in, and we didn't get it full at that the second to last stop, so it made us have to pit there with about 10 to go. So there's nothing you can do. I mean, our guys are doing a great job. They did a great job all day. You know, we kind of had to roll the dice on the chassis setup, and I'm really proud of our engineers and Darian. They did a great job of you know, getting us there, making good educated guesses. So we had a really good car today, and to have the Glades on there is pretty cool. So the good news is we get to get out of here and go to work at Eldora now tomorrow.
There you go. Thank you very much.
Well, Jeff Gordon, I listened to you guys a lot today. You got the car better. You had to chase the racetrack a little bit, but you seemed like you guys stayed with it.
Oh, I thought we did an excellent job with this Drive In Hunger Chevrolet. Got to thank Alan and all the guys. They did an awesome job all week. I mean, the car just unloaded fast and was very comfortable. They did great in the pits. We made some adjustments early and got a little bit too tight, backed off of those, and it really came to us, and that's when we drove up in the top 3 and pretty much stayed there. I felt like we maybe needed to free it up a little bit more, but it seemed like the track freed up at the same time, so that adjustment definitely hurt us a little bit, but you know, we're still able to maintain second, so I'm guessing everybody was dealing with that, but all in all, a great effort, great top 5, and we're thrilled about that. And we just want to thank everybody for supporting Drive In Hunger, especially in this Kansas area with everything that's been going on over in Joplin. The support that the Drive In Hunger has been able to give to them has been substantial, and we can't thank the fans enough, not only for coming out for this great race, but for supporting us. And don't forget to text Hunger to 50555.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Where does Jeff Gordon figure in the championship standings? How about Brad Keslowski, now 21st with a win? Remember, if you're inside the top 20, you get that wild card. We'll look at the points and have a lot more when we continue from Kansas. Promotional considerations provided by
away. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All the way, all the way, all the way, all the way. Hard. Light, up. Go. Hard. Get out there, buddy. Get out there. Block him if you got to. Go. Go, man, go.
6 different winners in the last 6 races. You just don't know what's going to happen next. And November 20th, a Sprint Cup champion will be crowned. We're halfway to the chase, Jeff Hammond. Carl Edwards leads. Jimmy Johnson, Dale Earnhardt Jr. still looking for that first win. And note the win column there. Kyle Busch with a couple, along with Matt Kenseth.
I think when you look down that column, you have to pay attention to the guys who haven't won races like Dale Earnhardt Jr., Tony Stewart, Clint Boyer, Ryan Newman. They know what they need to do, and they've got to win.
And then these are the points where you are from getting into the top 10. But if you're in the top 20 and you have a win, and this is important for Brad Keselowski and Regan Smith, who's 29th, then you move up to the wild card. There's 2 wild card spots, so Jeff Gordon would actually get in if we were starting today.
Yeah, and Brad Keselowski needs to pick up 7 points to be able to jump up in that top 20, but that puts a lot of pressure on Denny Hamlin and Greg Biffle. Once again, those guys define victory lane to be able to protect their turf if they want to go to the chase.
And we had on the pre-race show, our contest of predicting winners each week kept the same point system as NASCAR. You edged out Darrell Waltrip, Larry McReynolds, so you are the Pizza Hut, the Big Cheese winner. This is the award that we give to you for your correct predictions and championship selection.
Well, thank you, Chris, and I'd like to thank Pizza Hut for coming on board and allowing us to have a lot of fun this year. Picking out these winners and having some the opportunity to kind of go against one another. And here at the end, I wouldn't be doing this thing right unless I thank my crew of Ben and Mark and Patrick and Maggie, my crew chief Chris Myers over here. It's been a lot of fun down here in the Hollywood Hotel.
They're flashing the lights. Your time is up for the, all right, and all the folks back in North Carolina.
That's it.
Coming up on Fox, you'll see more of Jeff Hammond's presentation of his award or his acceptance speech. All right, come on, we can. American Dad, The Simpsons, Family Guy, The Cleveland Show. It's animation domination, and it continues. Special thanks to our production technical crew that works so hard every week. And, of course, Saturday, Fox Baseball. Throughout the year, the All-Star Game is coming, the postseason, including the World Series on Fox. And we wish our friends over at TNT a lot of luck taking NASCAR forward as they will bring you Pocono and NASCAR on Fox for the next 6 races. Enjoy NASCAR whenever you can. And, of course, our friends over at Speed will provide you with your daily racing fix. We also want to send out our get well wishes to Marvin Kale, part of our crew. We're rooting for a speedy recovery. This has been a Barry Landis production, directed by Artie Kempner. For Jeff Hammond, I'm Chris Myers. Daytona 500 on Fox next February. Thanks for being a part of it all.
It's time to start another season of NASCAR on Fox.
I am revved up.
Boogity, boogity, boogity! Let's go racing, boys!
As we pay tribute to the man in black, Dale Earnhardt.
Happy birthday, Trevor Bayne! You kidding me?
Trouble turn 3.
Big wreck.
What a hit.
Oh, no, another one. Hard in the wall.
Darrell, that might be the hardest hit I've ever seen at this small a racetrack.
Here's what I can promise you. Kevin Harvick will be in a feud with someone.
42 was going after that 39. I'll take care of it after the race. 48 was just a moron there. Black flag, missing lug nut.
What a night for Kenseth.
Welcome back. Awesome job.
It's about time. Here comes Carl.
Sweep it again, baby.
Johnson can't get there. Harvick wins it. Junior gets the lead. Harvick is there. He gets underneath, and there it is. Got him. The closer. 2 weeks in a row. 3 by 3 to the line. Johnson 2/1000ths of a second. Smith gets the flag. How about that?
Wow, Dale Jr. is scooting away.
Oh, he's slowing, isn't he? He's out of fuel.
Harvick, the closer, wins it.
Well, folks, this has been one of our best seasons ever. All good things must come to an end.